Chapter 201, The Dragon Slayer Demon Crystal to be activated. By the way, I almost forgot the main task, Aaron said, slapping his forehead. System, sign in. Congratulations to the host for signing in at Hogwarts and earning 10 magic points, the system responded. Aaron raised an eyebrow at his clone, a hint of expectation in his voice. Your turn. The clone shook his head helplessly. Sorry, it can't be done. What? Aaron's face twisted in anger. System, this is discrimination. Clones have rights too. Why can't they sign in? Because the unique system is bound to the host, not to the clone, the system replied arrogantly. Of course, if the host insists on experiencing double happiness, you can pay 100 magic points. This system can then arrange for the clone to sign in, but the host and the clone's sign-in income will be halved. It will return to normal when the clone merges back with the main body. Aaron sighed. What's the difference between that and spending money to buy loneliness? Signing in twice for 1 magic point each time is less efficient than signing in once for 2 magic points. At least it saves a few seconds. Actually, it's not impossible, the clone said after a moment of thought. We won't always be in the same place, and we'll be on vacation soon. It might be more cost-effective to keep me at Hogwarts. That sounds reasonable, Aaron admitted. Then he narrowed his eyes at the clone. Wait, are you trying to escape the 20-odd cram schools during the holidays? You caught me, the clone admitted openly. But it's also a practical move. Why should I work so hard at tutoring while you enjoy a peaceful vacation at Hogwarts? Aaron said sternly. I am willing to suffer a bit and give you this precious opportunity to improve yourself. I have no objection, but, the clone spread its hands, teasingly. Do you think the clone can hide from those ancestors in the family secret room? Aaron's face darkened as he recalled the harsh treatment from his ancestors. During the 2-month summer vacation last year, he attended various cram schools daily, except for eating and sleeping. His body and spirit were severely damaged, and he was even forced to run away from home. If the ancestors discovered he had a clone, they would double the tutoring time, making it unbearable. Jinns would definitely not allow him to skip classes this time. My mother. Aaron slumped weakly in his chair. Thinking about the upcoming summer vacation, he suddenly felt his life had lost its color. The clone sighed, stepping forward to pat Aaron on the shoulder. Some things just pass by gritting your teeth. Gritting my teeth, I'll pass, Aaron said, slapping away the clone's hand. Why do I feel more like a clone than you? I don't allow you to think that way, the clone said. If you feel unbalanced, you can take me back at any time. If you take me back under normal circumstances, there will be no cooling off period. Heh! Forget it. Aaron waved his hands helplessly. This is a long-term investment. The later it pays off, the greater the return. Then it's settled. Either you keep me at Hogwarts, where I can help you improve the proficiency of the magic circle daily, and you can earn 5 magic points when you sign in, 5 times what you get at home, and 2.5 times what you get in Diagon Alley. Or you can take me back, accept double tutoring tasks, and maybe you'll be more motivated seeing yourself in a mess from your own perspective. Aaron hesitated. The 28 ancestors in the family's secret room possessed a vast amount of knowledge. The cost-effectiveness of double tutoring might not be as good as leaving the clone at Hogwarts. Hogwarts to develop on its own. But after hearing the last sentence, he resolutely decided to leave the missing body in school. After all, seeing how embarrassed he was made him somewhat uncomfortable. After pondering for a while, Aaron rolled his eyes at the missing body. As expected of me, my ability to handle myself is really impeccable, Aaron remarked. Ed. Where, Sinianti smiled complacently. I'm just a weak and helpless clone, and the initiative is always in your hands. Aaron ignored him and paid the system 100 magic points directly, giving the thought body the right to sign in. Let's do it for now, Aaron said, heading to the bed helplessly. But the next moment, he heard the voice of the system, and his mood suddenly changed from cloudy to sunny. Congratulations to the host. The consumption of magic points reaches 100 points, and a special lucky draw opportunity will be rewarded. The surprise came too suddenly. Aaron sat up excitedly. I almost forgot about this function. Wait, it looks like I should have spent more than 100 magic points long ago. This system has always been fair and just, and the magic points that directly improve oneself and pets are not counted. Okay. Aaron accepted the system's explanation, albeit reluctantly. Then this special lottery is. The system quickly answered Aaron's doubts, and a large colored turntable that only he could see appeared in front of him, with at least hundreds of awards on it. Aaron just glanced briefly. His heartbeat unexpectedly accelerated, and his face became flushed. Backtracking in time. Rewind time within a certain range. The stronger the caster's ability, the greater the effect, and vice versa. Full counterattack. Return all offensive magic power to the attacker in multiples. Space portal. Can go anywhere. Out-of-body experience. Captain Jack's compass points to what the owner wants most in his heart. This system. I love you to death. It can't be. The corner of the thought body's mouth twitched slightly. What did you see? I see the hope of not having to struggle for several years, Aaron said, looking at other awards unconsciously. Although he knew that he could only win one of them, looking at it could also cheer him up. But the excitement and joy on his face slowly faded away, replaced by an indescribable complexity. I guess it won't be much better after that, the missing body murmured. System, do you want to explain? Aaron said angrily. I have no objection to the previous ones, but the latter ones are a bit perfunctory. The traceless stretching spell has some value, and I can accept it. Wands, my uncle has revealed the best wand shop in the wizarding world. Magic weapons, I don't remember how many we have piled up in our warehouse. Magic crystal, is this missing in our big system mall? Chelan cubs, raising a holy dragon is exhausting enough, and another unicorn, I don't have that much energy yet. I put up with all of this, but what the hell is thank you for your patronage, and it also takes up 1/10 of the turntable. Isn't it a little too much? Special lottery, there are everything. It depends on character, the system said unhurriedly. Okay, you're ruthless. Aaron gritted his teeth, suppressed the unhappiness in his heart, looked at the turntable, and muttered to start the lottery draw. The turntable rotated rapidly, and the speed slowed down after more than 10 seconds. The pointer was sweeping through a variety of magical skills that made Aaron jealous, and was shaking back and forth between a transparent crystal and thank you for your patronage. Aaron couldn't help but feel uneasy. This rhombus-shaped crystal is definitely incomparable with magic such as time regression and space folding, but it looks taller, at least much stronger than the magic crystal that Salazar switched, slightly left outside the secret room. It is estimated that in the system, it can also be sold at a high price in the mall. More importantly, it is put together with thank you for your patronage, and the value is unlimited growth. Even if it is of little value, it is. After a brief period of tension, the turntable gradually came to a stop, and the pointer narrowly landed on the transparent crystal. Goddess of luck, bless you, Aaron exclaimed, wiping the sweat from his forehead. He waited a moment before examining the crystal's description. Dragon Slayer Demon Cry. Stall, to be activated. Once embedded in the body, it allows the user to learn dragon-slaying magic. It grants a physique comparable to that of a dragon, including dragon scales, claws, teeth, etc., and enables the consumption of dragon-related substances to restore physical strength and enhance power. If the power of the dragon is awakened, the user's strength will be further amplified. Aaron held the transparent crystal in his hand, a smile spreading across his face. This prize was among the better ones from the carousel, and he felt fortunate. A loud gulping sound came from Abe, who was eyeing the Dragon Slayer crystal with intense desire, saliva dripping from his mouth. Do you want to eat it? Aaron asked. Abe nodded eagerly. The crystal was incredibly appealing to him, promising further evolution and new abilities. Sorry, but I can't grant that request. I have significant plans for this crystal, Aaron said. Abe lowered his head in disappointment, tears welling up in his eyes. Since it's important to you, Master, I won't ask for it, he said reluctantly. Aaron felt a pang of guilt. Why did he feel like the villain here? At that moment, Scion stepped forward, hugging Abe and patting his head. Don't worry, we will definitely make good use of this Dragon Slayer crystal, she reassured him. Aaron gave Scion a thumbs up, then looked at the crystal in his hand. Taking a deep breath, he pressed it to his chest. After a few seconds with no effect, he frowned in confusion. Do I need to inject it into my body? Should I try that? he wondered aloud. Sun Nian was taken aback. Using yourself as a test subject is risky. What if it kills you? She exclaimed. Aaron scratched his head awkwardly. System, 1 magic point for consultation. How do I embed this crystal into my body? System response, kill a powerful dragon, and the Dragon Slayer magic crystal can be activated by absorbing the dragon's soul. Aaron was momentarily stunned, then slowly turned his gaze to Abe. The dragon cub, sensing something, timidly buried his head in Neon's embrace. Is it really necessary? Neon asked, half amused, half concerned. The value of this Dragon Slayer crystal is nothing compared to you, Abe. Abe looked up with big, watery eyes. Really? Of course, Aaron replied. Even if you were the last dragon in the magical world, I wouldn't harm you. At most, I'd give you this crystal as a snack. Let's think of a plan once we return. The magical world isn't short of evil dragons. Worst case, we can collaborate with the Ministry of Magic, Aaron suggested. That's true, Neon agreed. But if I stay at Hogwarts, food will be an issue. I can't go without eating or drinking for 2 months. Aaron pondered for a moment, then his eyes lit up. He glanced at Ab again, specifically at the pocket of his coat. I don't know how much food you have stored, but it should be enough for 1 person for several months, and we don't have to worry about it spoiling. Aaron and Neon exchanged a knowing look and approached the unsuspecting holy dragon, their intentions clear. Soon, the room was filled with the sounds of rummaging, followed by sobs of infinite grievance from Abe. Chapter 212. The free dinner will not be unlimited. Abe touched the empty pockets of his new clothes, his eyes losing their usual sparkle as he wiped away his tears. The treasures he had accumulated from birth until now were gone, and the worst part was that it was his master who had taken them. There was no way to seek revenge, and nothing felt more unjust in the world. Aaron was grateful that he had applied a soundproofing spell to the dormitory beforehand. If the noise had spread, his reputation would have been ruined. The missing body looked at the pockets of the clothes that had been stripped from the dragon cub, his eyes widening in disbelief. He waited a few seconds to recover from his astonishment, then looked at the aggrieved dragon cub and handed the clothes to the main body as if they were priceless treasures. See for yourself. Be prepared. We underestimated it before, and this guy is obviously 1,000 times better than a hamster at hoarding food. Aaron didn't quite believe it, thinking it was a prank by the missing body. But when he opened the pocket and glanced inside, he stood there in a daze, feeling the weight of the items in his hands. There were ingredients for everything, flying in the sky, running on the ground, swimming in the water, and all kinds of fresh vegetables and snacks. They were piled up to a height of more than 10 meters, enough to host a banquet for everyone at Hogwarts for a week. Even more exaggerated, he saw 2 complete sets of kitchen utensils inside. He couldn't fathom how Abe had managed to stuff those pots in there. Abe didn't know how to cook, so it was clear who they were for. Hey! Aaron picked up Abe with a blank expression and said angrily, You really know how to enjoy life. Even the pots and pans are ready for me. That's enough. Let's put it down, the missing body persuaded softly. It's fortunate that it has so much food. Let alone this holiday, the food problem for the next few years is solved. Hearing this, Abe felt infinite grievances in his heart, but seeing his master's darkened face, he resisted the urge to howl loudly. Aaron sighed, put Abe on the table, and asked coldly, Jins is urging you to lose weight every day, and these are definitely not from home. So, explain. Abe poked his index fingers together and explained weakly while trying to be cute. I go to the Hogwarts kitchen once in a while. Case solved. Aaron rolled his eyes. I just said why you keep gaining weight. I'm still a baby and need nourishment. Baby? Signanti raised his eyebrows playfully. Are you ashamed to say you are a baby? Abe hesitated for a while. I'm still a child and need to— Stop, Aaron said with a dark face. Aren't you worried about being discovered? No. Abe straightened his back confidently. I only take a little at a time, and I haven't made a single mistake. Is this something to be proud of? Aaron said with a wry smile. I really regret not listening to Jins and giving you an egg lesson. In the future, don't go to the kitchen to steal food, or don't blame me for letting you experience the feeling of being hungry for 9 meals in 3 days. Abe nodded weakly, but I really went there only a few times occasionally. Aaron frowned slightly and exchanged glances with the missing body. They could see that Abe wasn't lying, but it was obvious that he couldn't have stocked up so much food by only going to the kitchen a few times. So the question was, how did this hill of food come together? Realizing the seriousness of the problem, Aaron and the thought body became serious. They understood their dragon cub well. It wasn't weak in combat power, and its IQ wasn't low, but sometimes it was simply too naive. If they weren't usually careful, a lollipop might be enough to abduct it. Now that someone had given it so much food, it showed that the other party's plot was bigger. Tell the truth, how did you save such a mountain? Abe hesitated for a moment, then took a few steps back, guilt evident in his eyes. This is very important, Scion said in a deep voice. We need to ensure that no one is targeting you, and the other party might come after us as well. Abe nodded thoughtfully, struggling to stretch out a paw to point in the direction of the common room. Aaron frowned. Is this person a Slytherin? Abe nodded, but quickly shook his head. Not just one, but a group. Every time I come back at night, I go to the common room and walk around. Many people give me things when they see me, and I can't stop them, and there are more and more people, and more things being given. Aaron and Scion exchanged bewildered glances, their cheeks twitching. They had underestimated the charm of this little creature. Being cute certainly had its privileges. With hundreds of students in Slytherin House, even if only a fraction fed Abe, it wasn't hard to accumulate so much food. Aaron briefly entertained the idea of using Abe to gather food if they ever ran out of money, but he quickly dismissed it. No matter how poor he might become, he had his pride. He wouldn't stoop to relying on a pet for sustenance. As Aaron silently set this resolution for himself, he suddenly realized something. You should be with me every day. When do you find the time to wander outside? Abe snorted, folding his paws on his chest. Every time the master writes and draws, he gets so absorbed that he can't stop for a long time. I get bored and go out for a walk. Hearing this, Aaron and Miss C smiled awkwardly but politely. They had been so engrossed in their studies that they hadn't noticed Abe slipping out of the dormitory. All right, we apologize. We won't pursue this matter any further, Aaron said, shrugging. He hugged Abe and put new clothes on him. But don't make a habit of it. Even if you can charm your way to free meals, they won't be unlimited. Abe nodded, half understanding, then stared thoughtfully at the piece of clothing he had taken off. I can't return this to you for now. I'll live on these during the summer vacation, Miss Sai comforted. But don't worry, you'll still see this mountain of food when you return to school. It might just be a bit smaller. Abe scratched his head and pulled his old clothes over with one paw. He rummaged in the pocket with both paws, but seemed unable to find anything. Growing anxious, he buried his head in the pocket. After a while, he pulled out a silver pot and placed it on the floor excitedly. This isn't appropriate, Aaron said, torn between laughter and exasperation. He thought Abe wanted him to cook a meal as a form of apology. Although Aaron was proficient in magical cooking, this was a dormitory, not a kitchen. And with at least 20 more Slytherins in the common room, he wasn't comfortable cooking in such an environment. How about this? Scion suggested. You can stay with me at Hogwarts, and during the holidays, take this pot to the common room. I promise to feed you well. Don't even think about it, Aaron said decisively, pulling Abe into his arms. It's already fat enough, even if it doesn't look like it. And Vico and the others won't be at ease if they don't see this dragon cub when they return. That makes sense, Scion conceded, giving Abe a helpless look. It seems unrealistic to keep you with me at Hogwarts. Abe shook his head blankly and slowly opened the lid of the pot. Envelopes of various colors burst out, creating a colorful shower in the room. Seeing this, Aaron suddenly had an ominous premonition. Aaron nervously picked up one of the letters, opened it, and a heart-shaped pattern came into view. Water Law. As if struck by lightning, Aaron didn't even look at the rest. He threw the love letter away as if his hand was on fire. His friend, Missing Body, also picked up one of the letters. After reading it, his face turned red and then pale, taking a while to recover. How did this happen? Aaron asked in a daze, feeling that life was full of shocks. I've lived for 13 years, and I've never experienced anything this exciting. Compared to these envelopes all over the floor, Voldemort seems much less threatening. Explain, Missing Body demanded, looking at Ob with a solemn face. You must explain clearly. This is very serious, and it's 1,000 times more terrifying than Voldemort's resurrection. Abe hesitated, poking his index fingers together. If you don't make it clear, your pockets will be emptied every other month. No, every other week, Aaron said with a sullen face. Feeling unprecedented anger from his master, Abe shuddered in horror. It's the female classmates of the master. There are girls of every age. Every time I received a letter for the master, they prepared 3 times as many snacks for me. I was quite resistant at first, but slap. Both Aaron and Missing Body patted their foreheads in frustration, angry with Abe. Miscalculation, Aaron muttered. Day defense and night defense, but family dragons are hard to guard against. You don't need to think about it to know that this guy has not withstood the temptation. Otherwise, the mountain of snacks would never have been so high. I just said that this period of time is much more stable than last semester. I thought it was the secret room incident that made people panic. Aaron murmured bitterly. I was thinking too much. Why did I raise such a dragon cub who pits his master? Can a girl's love letter be accepted casually? In retrospect, I realized that the way those girls looked at me seemed to be different from before. I've collected so much, Missing Body lamented. What's more, the 2 of us didn't know. There is nothing more unlucky than this, or you should take me back. Although being confessed to by so many girls is quite fulfilling, it is not something a 13-year-old like me can bear. Aaron gave him a blank look, then heaved a long sigh. Calm down. You really can't pretend you don't know anything. Abe received those envelopes. It's none of our business. Deceive yourself, Missing Body pouted. Then do you have a better way? Aaron asked. I will be on vacation soon, and everything will pass after this period of time. That's all. Aaron suddenly thought of something. He solemnly patted Missing Body on the shoulder and said earnestly, I'll leave it to you. I'll stay in the dormitory. You just feel wronged for now. I refuse, Missing Body said without hesitation. This is an order. You have no right to refuse. I knew it, Missing Body gritted his teeth, then changed the topic. But do you think my clone can hide from Dumbledore's eyes? Ah, this. Aaron hesitated. Missing Body sneered and slapped Aaron's right hand. I really want to help you, but there are some things that I can't help with, even if I want to. So in the next few days, it's up to you to bear the eyes of those girls. Aaron sighed deeply. The body is more tormented than the mind, and I am the only one in the magic world. Chapter 203. Never seen such a brazen person. Rows of candles were lit above the auditorium, illuminating the entire space brightly. The 5 petrified victims had all been restored by the mandrake potion. Mrs. Norris lay lazily in Filch's arms. Penello, Justin, and Colin were all sitting at the long tables of their respective houses, talking and laughing with other students. Sir Nicholas floated back and forth in the air, greeting people and proudly announcing his return. Hagrid had also been released from Azkaban. He sat in his seat with a smile on his face, looking at Harry and the others with relief. The truth of the Chamber of Secrets had been uncovered and the culprit brought to justice. The unjust accusations that had weighed on him for 50 years were finally lifted. Of course, all of this was inseparable from Aaron's help. As Dumbledore's most trusted person, he knew the truth more thoroughly than others. Although Hagrid wanted to thank Aaron face to face, he wisely refrained from disturbing him when he saw Aaron's absent-minded expression at the Slytherin table. Aaron was indeed not in a good mood, as there were too many Slytherin girls around. Thinking of the love letters he had received, he felt heartbroken. Yet, to maintain his composure, he responded to everyone he saw with a good-natured smirk. After more than an hour, his face felt a little uncomfortable. At this moment, he suddenly admired Lockhart. Although Lockhart had no real skills, his control over his expressions was remarkable. Being able to maintain a bright smile for several hours while signing autographs for fans was a talent in itself. Ding, 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 ding. Professor McGonagall knocked on a glass a few times, and the auditorium suddenly fell silent. Please pay attention, Dumbledore said as he slowly stood up from his seat. Before the dinner, Please applaud Professor Sprout and Madame Pomfrey. Thanks to their mandrake juice, the petrified people have been saved." Thunderous applause broke out, and Professor Sprout and Madame Pomfrey sat on the teacher's bench with smiles on their faces. Additionally, in light of recent events at the school has decided to cancel all examinations. Hearing this, except for Hermione Granger, who had a soft spot for exams and put on a bitter face, almost all the students were so excited that they broke out into even stronger applause, which lasted for a long time. Pity. Aaron shook his head regretfully while feeling happy. He had gone to great lengths to avoid taking the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, even persuading Lockhart after much effort. But now that Lockhart was in Azkaban, it seemed there was no need to take the class this semester. "There is another unfortunate piece of news," Dumbledore said with a sigh. "Our Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, Gilderoy Lockhart, has encountered some problems. If there are no accidents, he will not be returning." Hearing this, everyone present cheered, even the usually unsmiling Professor Snape and Vice Principal McGonagall. Everyone was in a good mood, finally rid of the incompetent teacher who was more of a clown than an educator. The dinner lasted for a long time, and it was not until 3 or 4 in the morning that the students, having released the pressure accumulated during this period, returned to their dormitories to rest. Aaron finally felt a bit of relief, but just as he was walking out, Dumbledore stood in front of him. "Are you free, Mr. Gaius?" Dumbledore asked with a kind smile. "I would like to talk to you." Aaron's first reaction was to refuse. After all, Dumbledore had always struck him as cunning, and he doubted any good would come from this conversation. But he realized that avoiding Dumbledore now would only delay the inevitable. Unless he planned to leave Hogwarts altogether, he would have to face him eventually, to have Lucius Malfoy expelled from the school board, considering his influence and the trouble he often caused. However, he knew better than to voice this opinion to Draco. "That's unfortunate," Aaron said diplomatically, trying to gauge Draco's reaction. "Do you know why?" Draco's face darkened further. "It's all because of that blasted Chamber of Secrets incident. They blamed my father for everything, saying he was involved with Riddle and the Basilisk. It's completely unfair." Aaron nodded sympathetically, though he couldn't help but think that Lucius had brought much of it upon himself. "I'm sorry to hear that, Draco, but maybe this will give your father a chance to focus on other important matters." Draco huffed, clearly not consoled. "I suppose, but it's still a disgrace to our family name." Aaron decided to change the subject to lighten the mood. "Well, on a brighter note, have you thought about what electives you'll be taking next semester?" Draco's expression softened slightly as he considered the question. "I'm thinking about taking ancient runes and arithmancy. My father always said they were useful subjects." "Good choices," Aaron agreed. "I'm planning to take those as well. Maybe we can study together." Draco nodded, a small smile finally breaking through his scowl. "I'd like that." As the conversation shifted to more mundane topics, Aaron couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The summer semester was almost over, and he had managed to navigate the complexities of Hogwarts politics and personal relationships without too much trouble. He just hoped that the next school year would be a bit more peaceful. The remaining days of the summer semester passed quickly. Aaron spent his time preparing for his elective courses and continuing his magical studies. He made good use of the Hogwarts library, delving into advanced spell work and magical theory. The mind-body, his magical construct, was a constant companion, helping him with his studies and ensuring that he didn't neglect any aspect of his education. One evening, as Aaron was engrossed in a particularly challenging text on ancient runes, there was another knock on his door. This time, it was Hermione Granger, looking slightly flustered. "Aaron, do you have a moment?" she asked, her voice tinged with urgency. "Of course, Hermione. Come in," Aaron replied, setting his book aside. Hermione entered the room and took a seat, her brow furrowed in thought. "I've been thinking about the Chamber of Secrets incident and the way it was handled. There's something that doesn't quite add up." Aaron raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "Well," Hermione began, "Dumbledore mentioned that he shared the rewards for special contributions among the 4 of us, but the points distribution seemed a bit Off. Gryffindor ended up with significantly more points than Slytherin, even though you were the one who solved the mystery. Aaron nodded slowly, understanding her concern. Yes, I noticed that too. Dumbledore has his reasons, I'm sure, but it does seem a bit unfair. Hermione sighed. I just wish there was more transparency. It feels like there's always something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. Aaron leaned back in his chair, contemplating her words. You're right, Hermione, but sometimes we have to trust that the people in charge are making decisions for the greater good, even if we don't always understand their motives. Hermione nodded, though she still looked troubled. I suppose you're right. It's just frustrating sometimes. Aaron smiled reassuringly. We'll get through it, Hermione. And who knows, maybe next year will be different. As Hermione left, Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that she was onto something. The politics of Hogwarts were complex, and there were always layers of intrigue and hidden agendas. But for now, he was content to focus on his studies and prepare for whatever challenges the next school year might bring. Lucius Malfoy made such a big fuss, but was expelled. There's no need to be so angry. The status of the school manager is not essential to the Malfoy family. That's what I said, but those directors didn't even give a reason. It was as if they had conspired to expel Malfoy on the school board, which is really deceitful. Aaron pondered for a moment and decided to tell Draco about the misdeeds his father had committed, at least to let him understand that Lucius was not wronged at all. 10 minutes later, Draco's face turned from pale to ashen, and his demeanor quickly became subdued. So, instead of explaining, the school board gave my father a way out? Exactly, Aaron replied, spreading his hands. That dark magic item almost killed several people. Although there is no concrete evidence, everyone knows it. If this matter escalates, Mr. Lucius might have to face the Ministry of Magic. Of course, without evidence, no one can send the powerful Malfoy to Azkaban, but the aftermath would be quite troublesome. Now, by giving up the interests of the school, they can minimize the damage. Mr. Lucius might actually feel very fortunate. But my dad, he has no reason to do such a thing. Draco frowned, clearly confused. I don't understand. Go back and think about it slowly if you don't understand, but right now you need to control your temper, Aaron advised, looking at him meaningfully. You are no longer the son of a school manager, but a Slytherin with a family background. I hope you can understand this clearly. Draco nodded silently and left Aaron's dormitory, looking defeated. As expected of me. Missing showed his real body. Couldn't you comfort him a bit? Draco is not that fragile. He can recover from such a trivial matter in a day or two at most. Besides, I'm his friend, not his nanny. I can't be expected to think about everything for him. If you have spare time, you should think carefully about how to arrange your vacation. Aaron said with a mix of envy and frustration. His vacation would be filled with tutoring from more than 20 ancestors, ensuring he wouldn't fall behind. But the missing body could arrange its own holidays, using a disillusionment charm to leave the castle unnoticed, an apparition to travel far and wide. The missing body understood Aaron's meaning and smiled. Don't worry about it. If nothing unexpected happens, my range of activities won't be too far from Hogwarts. When I'm bored, I'll visit Hogsmeade Village. Only students above the 3rd grade are allowed to go there, and I'm quite interested. Keep the magic carpet for me. You don't need it at home anyway. Aaron rolled his eyes, feeling like he was the clone. That's right. The missing body suddenly remembered something and said seriously, we were elementary magicians when we ran away from home. We can't just stay in school for a year and lose our strength. You don't know how critical the ancestors' eyes are. I personally suggest you raise your strength to a suitable level before going back, otherwise. Stop talking. I'll take care of it before I leave school, Aaron said, clutching his chest with some heartache. He knew very well that if he didn't have any real skills, he would never be able to fool the memories of those ancestors in the family secret room. This meant that his magical abilities hadn't improved much over the past year, but in doing so, his hard-earned magic points might be depleted all at once. Although improving his strength wasn't a bad thing, he still felt particularly aggrieved. Chapter 204, A 3-Year-Old Life Event. The Hogwarts Express. Aaron gazed out the window of the Hogwarts Express, the scenery blurring past as he sighed melancholically. "Why do you look so sad?" Draco, seated opposite him, asked with a puzzled expression. "Aren't you happy that you're on vacation?" "No," Aaron replied, waving his hand weakly. "I'm so happy." Draco's eyes twitched slightly. He couldn't shake the feeling that Aaron exuded an indescribable sense of decadence. "We're good friends. If you have any problems, let me know, and I'll help you," Draco offered earnestly. "Thanks, but unfortunately, you can't help me. Some things I have to carry on my own," Aaron said with a wry smile, then opened his personal panel. Magic Energy, Body 4th Wound 10, Thought Body 3990, Total 8,000, Intermediate Magister, the peak for most wizards. Talent, rare in 100 years. Magic Energy increases by 3 points daily. Body increases by 2 points. Thought Body increases by 1 point. Items, Moondrop, removes any negative spells. Resurrection Potion, revives any creature that died within an hour. Magic Points 3. Last night, he had struggled until the early morning before finally making up his mind. To deceive the perception of his ancestors, he had raised all the magic points he had painstakingly accumulated to enhance his magic power. Perhaps due to obsessive-compulsive tendencies, he had rounded off the numbers for both his main body and thought body, leaving the last 3 magic points to support the data, which filled him with a sense of bleakness. Although he had elevated his true strength to the intermediate level of a magister, the feeling of returning to square one overnight still left him feeling lost. What made it even more disheartening was that this promotion method was very fair. Half of the magic points were equally distributed to the thought body. In other words, even now, his main body might not be able to defeat his clone. But Aaron had enough confidence. As long as he could survive this summer vacation, his magic energy would open up a little gap, and with the buffs superimposed on him by more than 20 tutors, he would definitely be able to surpass his thought body after returning to school. A few hours later, the train slowly arrived at King's Cross Station. Aaron stretched and led Abe out of the compartment. He left his thought body with his luggage and vacation homework, bringing only his pet, wand, and a few galleons. "Long time no see, Master," Jins greeted as he walked over. "Did you not bring any luggage?" Obviously, Aaron shrugged and walked forward on his own. He knew very well that he wouldn't have any free time from tomorrow until school started, so today he had to hurry up and take a good rest. Jins hurriedly followed, speaking with great relief. "Some time ago, Albus Dumbledore wrote a letter to your family. Since your parents weren't there, I made the decision myself. But I was shocked when I read it. Young Master, you actually defeated a 1,000-year-old basilisk and a 16-year-old Dark Lord. It's truly an honor to the Gaius family." "Ha ha! I thought you were going to criticize me," Aaron chuckled. "After all, I risked my life." "Young Master wouldn't," Jins said with a smile. "If you didn't have enough confidence, you wouldn't take the risk. The young Master may lose, he may lose badly, but he will definitely not die." Aaron glanced at him speechlessly. "You speak as if you know me well." "After all, young Master, I watched you grow up," Jins replied. At that moment, a familiar voice called out behind Aaron. The Weasleys approached, with Ginny, Ron, Fred, and George in tow. Harry and Hermione followed the family. "Aaron, thank you very much this time," Arthur Weasley said gratefully. "Dumbledore told us that you saved Ginny's life." "Yeah, this child is our only daughter," Molly Weasley added, holding Ginny's hand tightly. "When I think about her almost leaving us, I feel so bad." "That's what I should do," Aaron replied modestly. "After all, I was quite happy during the few days I lived with the Weasleys. It's a debt I owe to your family." Aaron felt a pang of guilt as he looked at the Weasleys. They had taken him in at the beginning, but he had lived in his own tent and paid for his food, making it a fair deal. In contrast, he had risked his life to save Ginny, which made them feel ashamed. "Aaron, the Burrow welcomes you as a guest at any time," Arthur said awkwardly but politely. "If you encounter any trouble in the future, you can come to me. Although my position in the Ministry of Magic is relatively low, many people are still willing to give me face." Aaron knew that even Gaius couldn't handle certain troubles, and he definitely couldn't count on the Weasleys for help. However, he didn't want to embarrass Arthur in public, so he just nodded with a smile. "This is for you," Harry said, handing a piece of parchment to Aaron. This is called a phone number, the contact information of Muggles. If you don't know how to use it, you can find someone to teach you. Aaron couldn't help but chuckle. Our family is different from most wizarding families. We have never lost contact with the Muggle world for thousands of years. Harry's face flushed slightly. Many of his classmates looked down on Muggles, and most pure-blood wizards even sneered at them. He had assumed the Gaius family was the same. "I'll accept the phone number, but I'm not sure if I'll call you," Aaron said, glancing at Jins and sighing. "After all, I really can't help myself on vacation." Harry remembered Aaron being forced to run away from home by the cram school last year and smiled awkwardly. "I can understand that." "What do you mean?" Hermione asked, puzzled. Harry might be dependent on others, but Aaron didn't seem like someone without freedom. "It means that I will be very busy during the vacation," Aaron explained, "unless there is a turning point in the middle." "No," Jin said, patting his young master on the shoulder with a playful smile. "Bet on the dignity of the rest of our lives, we will never fall twice in the same place." Aaron scoffed at this. His avatar was still at Hogwarts, and since he said this, the dignity of him and his 6 bodyguards had been cut in half. After leaving the partition wall of platform 9 3/4, everyone went back to their homes. Aaron didn't waste time on the road and brought Jins to a remote alley. "Use apparition to take me back directly." "Master, don't be so anxious." "Heh! School starts tomorrow," Aaron emphasized, his tone cold. "If I don't take advantage of today's rest, I will not be in good condition and may even delay the progress of the course. Do you think my teachers would be happy?" Jin's mouth twitched, and he grabbed Aaron's arm helplessly, while Aaron lifted one of Abe's paws. The next moment, the two of them, along with the dragon, were sucked into the vortex of space and disappeared instantly. When they reappeared, they were already in the hall of Gaius Castle. "It feels pretty good," Aaron commented objectively. Jin's apparition was a bit worse than his, but still much better than the average person's. "Young master's talent far surpasses mine, and it will be a matter of time before he masters this magic," Jin said. Aaron smiled secretly in his heart but nodded confidently. "When will my parents come back?" Jins hesitated. "The Patriarch and Madam have some matters to deal with, and it will take a month at the earliest." "I knew it," Aaron said, shaking his head and resting his forehead. "Uncle Jins, I suddenly feel that I am a little lacking in love. In the past few years, I have been with them for less than 2 months. Am I their biological child?" "Undoubtedly, yes," Jins replied. Jin said with a serious face, "With all due respect, young master, your thoughts are a bit pessimistic. Although your parents are not around, there are still more than 20 ancestors who care about you all the time. How many people in the wizarding world can enjoy this kind of treatment?" Aaron sighed. "I really want to give you a thumbs up for your negative energy. Are you comforting me? There are more than 20 cram schools. Is there anyone whose childhood can withstand such devastation? Could you handle it at 13? "No," Jins replied bluntly, then quickly changed the topic. "But you must be able to, young master. You already proved this when you were 12 years old. Being taught by more than 20 great wizards is unimaginable for ordinary people in a lifetime. You should appreciate it, young master." The corners of Aaron's eyes twitched slightly. According to Jins, he was in the midst of blessings and didn't even realize it. Jins noticed the young master's bewilderment and rising anger and decided to change the subject to avoid further scolding. "Well, young master, you are not too young now." "I'm only 13 years old," Aaron pouted. "Of course, I know. I mean, does the young master have any girls he likes at school?" Aaron's eyes widened in surprise. "Why are you asking this?" "This is what Madam asked me to ask," Jins explained. "After she knew that you risked your life to save a girl, she made up a lot of things in her mind. She even couldn't wait to go to the Weasley family to see what the future daughter-in-law looks like." Aaron blushed and almost slipped off the sofa. "What are you kidding?" Thunder was rolling in Aaron's heart. He never thought that his mother would be so unreliable. This kind of life event should be decided by himself. Do you want to be so hasty? And he didn't think that way about Ginny at all. They were just ordinary friends at most. "Don't get excited, young master," Jins teased. The patriarch stopped her in time, so the matter hasn't happened yet. Hearing this, Aaron breathed a sigh of relief. He thought of the attitude of the Weasleys at platform 9 3/4. My dad still loves me. He is always so sensible. However, Jins continued, they have also reached a consensus on some aspects, such as finding a fiancé for you, and Miss Ginny is on the shortlist. They'll be back in a month, so you'd better be prepared. Aaron sighed deeply. Tired. Destroy it. Chapter 205, Phase 2 Training. As night fell, Aaron lay on his bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. The cram school was manageable, something he could endure with gritted teeth, but the idea of a fiancé was overwhelming. More importantly, Vico and Lasana had never asked for his opinion. He felt utterly exhausted. Since he turned 8, his life seemed to be accelerating uncontrollably, and now it felt like it was speeding up even more. Lie flat, Aaron thought to himself, but a bitter smile soon appeared on his face. Although he didn't want to admit it, he only had the option to lie flat now, not the qualifications. The cram school he couldn't refuse, the threat of Voldemort, Dumbledore's watchful eyes, and his parents' high expectations, all these factors were obstacles on his path to peace. It's still too weak, Aaron sighed, then opened the system mall. Magic at transformation, 1,000 magic points, including animagus, blank, 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 Patronus charm, 200 magic points. Materials at Phoenix feather, 30 magic points. At Dragon blood, Twamandrake root, 5 magic points. Bezoar, 1 magic point. At Rhino horn, 3 magic points. Items blank, magic crystal, 100 magic points. Contains powerful magic, can supply energy to magic arrays. Blank, blank, blank. Looking at the large blank product columns on the interface, he couldn't help but laugh bitterly. He only had 3 magic points left. Unless the categories were refreshed, he would have to wait until tomorrow to fill in the gaps. After hesitating for a while, Aaron focused on the item category. Magic products were too expensive. Even with his skills, he couldn't afford them with his current single-digit capital. But the item category was different. If he was lucky, he might get something useful before school started. With the last 3 magic points cleared, the 3 commodity columns in the item category were refreshed. Captain Jack's compass, 200 magic points, points to what the owner desires most. Wizard chess, 1 magic point. Jelani's emerald, 50 magic points, brings bad luck to the holder. Not bad, Aaron murmured. Wizard chess was immediately ruled out. He had little interest in playing chess, and it was only worth 1 galleon in the market, something he could buy any time. Jelani's emerald was clearly a trap, something to give to someone he disliked in the future. But Captain Jack's compass caught his eye. It was an artifact for finding things, and most importantly, it wasn't too expensive. He and his thought body could earn 6 magic points daily, so he could buy it in just 34 days. The sound of gold coins clinking together caught Aaron's attention. He turned to see Abe rummaging through his pockets, checking his last remaining gold and silver treasures. More than 100 gold galleons, a dozen silver sickles, and dozens of copper nuts were neatly piled on the bed, forming a small pyramid. Although it was nothing compared to the mountain of food, Abe squatted proudly in front of the pyramid, looking quite pleased with himself. This silly and cute sight made Aaron laugh, lifting his spirits. "Look at your talent," he said, pinching Abe's cheek. "Don't forget you've seen the Gaius family's vault." Abe's eyes lit up with excitement as he remembered the endless golden mountains he had seen last year. "Can I go and have a look tomorrow?" "Just enough to fill my pockets. I promise not to take too much." Aaron's mouth twitched, and he refused without hesitation. No one knew Abe's ability to stockpile goods better than him. If Abe got too excited, he might empty the vault entirely. The next morning, Jins knocked on the door early. "Master, it's time for you to get up." Aaron sat up from the bed and glanced at the alarm clock. 6:30. He raised his eyebrows, grabbed the alarm clock, and threw it towards the wall. Aaron called out from behind the door, "Wake me up at 6 o'clock." The sound of knocking ceased instantly, and Jins, standing outside, smiled wryly and shook his head. With the master and mistress away, he had to follow the young master's orders, ensuring he attended classes and stayed safe. 20 minutes later, Aaron emerged, dressed in simple clothes, with Ab by his side. Jins led them to the dining room for breakfast. They all knew what awaited them after the meal, so they paid little attention to the food's appearance. Aaron leaned back lazily in his chair after devouring his meal. Ab, ignoring Jin's warning glance, casually summoned the house elf for more food. "Master, shouldn't you stop him?" Jins couldn't help but ask. "He's gained a pound since last year." "So what? He's still a child. It's fine if he eats more," Aaron replied. Ab's body had been deprived of proper nutrition for 2 years, and it needed to compensate. At least he shouldn't go hungry before returning to school. As for the weight, Jins would handle it. After all, he had managed to help Ab lose a pound last year. "All right," Jin said reluctantly, picking up a small notebook. "I'll create a weight loss plan for him. How much to eat, how much to run. I've arranged a brand new treadmill for him with only one feature: leather. As long as he's not too tired during training, it doesn't matter what he eats now." Hearing this, Ab, who was eating a piece of fish steak, shivered instinctively at the sight of the familiar small notebook in Jins's hands. Last year's 2-month holiday had been dominated by that notebook. After breakfast, Jins led them to the family's secret room and skillfully opened the door to the armory. "This again?" Aaron sighed, taking a horizontal knife from the wooden stand. "How many do I need to hit this time? 15? 20? "No need," Jins replied with a mysterious smile. "That was the original training plan. But since you killed a 1,000-year-old giant snake alone, training with cold weapons doesn't make much sense. The Patriarch specifically asked me to advance you to the 2nd stage of training." "The 2nd stage?" Aaron was puzzled. "Does that mean there's a 3rd stage?" "Master is indeed smart," Jin said, snapping his fingers. "The 1st stage was mainly to improve basic abilities and combat skills. Your physique has been raised by Lord Hog to a level that ordinary people cannot reach. Unless you have some extraordinary adventure, your physical fitness growth will be slow in the short term. With your current strength, you might struggle to beat 100 muggles without using magic, but you could handle 50. However, facing a true master, like the king of killers in the muggle world or the top special forces soldier, you might lose within 10 minutes. Their skills are owned through hundreds of fights." Aaron's temper flared at this. 10 minutes? Who do you think you're underestimating? He pointed his sword at Jins, his face serious. "How about we spar first? See if I can last 10 minutes. Jins raised an eyebrow, looking slightly embarrassed. "It's not appropriate." "It's very appropriate. Let's learn from each other." "I will show mercy," Aaron insisted, seeing Jin's hesitation. "You can go all out, but you can't refuse." "All right, since you insist, young master, I have to agree," Jins said. "You don't use weapons?" Aaron asked. Jins shrugged and took a long knife from the shelf. "This will do. I'm ready." "Then I'm not holding back," Aaron said, lifting his sword and walking towards Jins. The tip of his sword sparked a line on the floor. He had waited a long time for this opportunity to challenge the butler in a fair and honest fight. After dealing with him, there would still be those 6 bodyguards. If they didn't get a beating, it would be a waste of the secret surveillance over the past 10 years. But the housekeeper had always taken good care of him, so Aaron decided to show some respect and not embarrass him too much. Just as Aaron was contemplating how to balance respect for the elderly with his desire to teach a lesson, Jins discarded the weapon in his hand and skillfully pulled out a brown wand. Before Aaron could react, a white light struck him. Boom. The long sword in Aaron's hand fell to the grow, ND, and he staggered back a few steps. This is a small lesson. Don't underestimate your enemy, and don't assume your enemy is a gentleman, Jin said lightly, putting away his wand. Why didn't I realize you were this kind of person before? Aaron gritted his teeth, anger evident on his face. You don't play fair. My young master, you were the one who didn't play fair first. What I'm saying is that with the same physique, you can't last 10 minutes against a master. My physical fitness is still far behind yours, young master. My original intention was to remind you that there are always people better than you, and there is always a higher sky. You can't become complacent with a little strength, but it seems you didn't listen to me. The most important thing is... Jins paused, feeling a bit lonely. The young master has grown up and become independent, but if you want to hit me, at least find a decent reason. Aaron looked embarrassed and said awkwardly, Is it that obvious? Jins nodded solemnly, undeniably. Master, you may not have noticed, but when you walked over with your sword just now, you smiled very strangely. I personally suggest you go to Mrs. Flo for psychological counseling soon. We need to take precautions before problems arise. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about the second stage of training first. Okay, Jin smiled lightly. The second stage is to adapt to various extreme environments. The future is full of uncertainties, and the combat environment won't always be in a training room. Erupting volcanoes, falling cliffs, collapsing glaciers, and even chaotic downtown areas are all possible battlefields. Gulp! Aaron swallowed and said in disbelief, You mean I have to go to these places next? Yes, Jins replied, taking out a gray key engraved with the number 2 from a bunch of keys. So, Master, are you ready? Aaron thought to himself, Can I say no? Chapter 206. There are always people who want to harm me? Click. As the key was inserted into the lock in the center of the wall, a door slowly opened. Aaron stood there for a moment, then walked in nervously. However, the first thing he saw was not an extreme environment, but a large open space. He couldn't help but smile contemptuously. Is this it? Jin shrugged. When the Patriarch first came here, he behaved the same way you do now. And after that? Aaron asked, noticing a slight change in Jin's expression. Sorry, I can't say, Jins replied. I am the young master, and you are the housekeeper. Think carefully before speaking, Aaron insisted. Master, Jin said bitterly, you are putting me in a difficult position. Did my father explicitly tell you not to tell me? Aaron pressed. Not exactly, but no buts, Aaron interrupted with a wry smile. There are only 2 of us here besides Abe. God knows, you know, and I know. I promise I won't say anything about it. Jins hesitated, but was not as resolute as before. Sensing an opportunity, Aaron continued. Uncle Jins, I need to remind you that this is an order from the heir of Gaius. All right, Jins relented. The owner entered this secret room when he was 16 years old. He was full of confidence at the beginning, but when he came out for the first time, he was trembling, his face devoid of color. He just hugged the old patriarch's leg and shouted for help. Fortunately, the family had specially prepared a secret medicine for this situation. Otherwise, the patriarch might not have recovered within 10 days or half a month. Hearing this, Aaron's expression changed slightly, and he began to back away slowly. In his heart, Vico seemed less reliable. If this secret room could scare him like that at 16, it was probably more dangerous than he had thought. Just as he was about to retreat to the door, it suddenly closed and disappeared from his sight. Master, don't even think about running away, Jin said with a hint of glee. The patriarch specifically emphasized that every morning I am to bring you to this secret room to experience the excitement. As Jin spoke, a square platform emerged from under his feet, lifting him into the air. As he ascended, the floor turned reddish-brown, the ground sloped slightly, and the temperature rose rapidly. In just a few seconds, Aaron found himself halfway up a mountain. Billows of black smoke rose from the summit, and the mountain itself was shaking. My God! Aaron turned pale with shock and shouted at the figure in the sky. I am the young master. You can't do this. Let me out quickly. I'm sorry, but this is an order from the patriarch, Jins replied, shaking his head slightly. This volcano will erupt in 2 minutes, and you are now halfway up the mountain. You have to find a way to survive. Survive? Aaron murmured, a terrible guess forming in his mind. What do you mean by survive? Literally, Jins explained in a deep voice. There is no real death in this secret room, but you can experience real pain. More than 90% of the heirs of the Gaius family have been tested in this secret room. I hope you will not be on that list, young master. By the way, a friendly reminder, the end point is at the foot of the mountain. Hearing this, Aaron looked dazed, but the rumbling sound drew his attention back. Looking up, he saw a crimson pillar of fire erupting from the crater, with countless large and small lava rocks shooting in all directions at an incredible speed. Regardless of the temperature, the power was no less than that of artillery shells. The falling lava would also roll down like a mountain rock slide, accompanied by hot magma and thick volcanic ash sweeping down. Great heavens! Aaron gasped, feeling the world's blatant malice toward him. At this moment, he couldn't control his fear any longer. He turned around and ran, bursting out at an unprecedented speed. From Jin's perspective, Aaron turned into a black shadow, racing against the impending disaster behind him. The fiery shower and the red and black waves began a contest of speed. The young master is very fast, managing to outrun a large portion of the magma. Indeed, people don't realize their potential until they're pushed to their limits, Jinsey said with a gratified smile. Then, he changed the topic. But if you think you can be safe this way, you're too naive. Just as Aaron, who was running wildly, thought he could escape the catastrophe, a red crack suddenly appeared in front of him. Steam overflowed from the crack, almost spraying Aaron in the face. "Damn it, this is trying to kill me!" Aaron cursed inwardly. The magma and lava caught up again during his brief pause, forcing him to continue running. Although the path ahead was extremely dangerous, with the risk of a single misstep leading to disaster, the path behind symbolized absolute destruction. He didn't think his small body could withstand the impact of the extreme heat. After persisting for a while, Aaron was out of breath, his body covered in sweat. He turned his head to look at the magma that was getting closer and closer. The hot temperature felt like a death scythe on his neck, and the increasing number of red cracks in front of him, with magma gushing out, made him even more nervous. This is definitely not an ordinary volcano. It's tailor-made for me, Aaron thought, clenching his fists. Unless he revealed his ability to apparate, his chances of surviving were slim. But he glanced at Jinsey, who was floating midair with a smug expression, and decided against it. It was better to keep such a trump card hidden until the last moment. "It's a pity I left the magic carpet at Hogwarts. Otherwise, I could just fly out of here," Aaron said regretfully, planning to find a path with fewer cracks to evacuate. At that moment, a white figure appeared in Aaron's mind. Looking at Abe next to Jinsey, his eyes lit up, and he called out in an incomprehensible tone, "Come quickly and save me." He couldn't fly and didn't have any flying props, but he had flying pets. Abe's ears twitched, and he spread his wings, flying over. Jinsey noticed but didn't stop him, merely smiling silently. Boom! Abe hit a transparent wall and slid down in a daze, making a sound like a cat's paws scratching glass. "Young master, don't play tricks," Jinsey said with a suppressed smile. "This is for you alone. Foreign aid can't help you." Aaron was dumbfounded, then glared fiercely at Jinsey. "You wait for me," he muttered. This time, he didn't hesitate and ran straight ahead. The cracks wouldn't spare him just because he was good-looking, and the magma wouldn't defy the laws of physics just because he was kind. If he couldn't avoid the danger, he would have to create a way out. Thinking of this, Aaron decisively drew out his wand. He first cast an iron armor charm on himself, then took a deep breath and swung his wand straight ahead. Invisible fluctuations were released from the tip of the wand, and the cracks within a few meters in front of him miraculously healed. However, the magma that had escaped did not flow back into the cracks, but instead formed large and small lava pools on the volcano. Clap! 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 The sound of applause echoed, and Jinsey smiled, praising, "The young master's restoration spell is very skillful, but the liquid spilled from the container cannot be recovered through this spell, and—" Before he could finish, a rumbling sound came from behind. The magma was advancing faster and faster, and even worse, the ground that Aaron had just repaired was starting to crack again. "Damn it, there are always people trying to harm me," Aaron thought, his eyes widening. While choosing a suitable route to run, he kept casting the repairing charm to make the path under his feet as safe as possible. After running for more than 20 minutes, the rapid loss of physical strength and magic power left him in a state of exhaustion. Aaron stood in a trance, the relentless approach of the hot magma intensifying his psychological pressure. Jins, hovering high in the sky, wore a tense expression, a stark contrast to his earlier relaxed demeanor. He couldn't bear to see Aaron in such distress. After all, Aaron was the young master he had raised, and no one wished for Aaron's escape more than he did. Meanwhile, Abe repeatedly struck the transparent barrier in the secret room, but his gigantic form couldn't even make it tremble, and not even the dragon's breath left a mark. Jins let out a long sigh, fully aware of the barrier's defensive strength. Even he would struggle to break it, let alone a young dragon. This trial was something every heir had to endure. He couldn't intervene and had no reason to. "Master, Listen to my advice. If you can't hold on, just give up, Jin said, his voice tinged with conflict. You're only 13 years old. It's normal if you can't hold on. Many older than you have failed. No one will laugh at you. Shut up. I'd rather die than let Vico succeed, Aaron replied coldly. He knew his father too well. If he failed, Vico would likely drop everything to rush back and mock him. Aaron could almost see Vico standing in the rain, thoughtfully removing the umbrella from his son's life. After a brief moment to adjust his state, Aaron glanced at the approaching magma. 2 minutes? It might not even be 2 minutes. What a huge challenge! He raised his wand, drawing a brown rune in front of him. He focused on creating a magic ring, a ray, basic spells, and stars with it as the core. The proportion of thick earth elements in the air increased steadily. As the outer circular outline formed, the inner pentagram released a strong light. A massive earthen wall rose from the ground, forming a large reservoir with the volcanic slope, blocking the magma that threatened to engulf Aaron. This is the ultimate level? Jin's was astonished. But after a moment, he noticed some anomalies. No, if it were the ultimate magic circle, the movement would be much greater. Above high level, but below the final level. To achieve this in a few minutes, the young master is indeed the best of the Gaius family in a century. I can't die just yet, Aaron muttered, relieved but aware that the wall wouldn't buy him much time. The cistern would eventually overflow, and with the volcano still erupting, who knew what would happen next? He glanced at Jin's in midair, then turned his gaze to the crack where the magma was gushing, calming himself. Now that his ability with the magic circle had been exposed, it didn't matter what happened next. He raised a provocative middle finger at Jin's and started running again. This time, he multitasked, repairing the cracks on the mountain while simultaneously drawing an ice blue magic circle with his mental power to cool down his next foothold. Chapter 207. More than half an hour later, Aaron looked at the transparent barrier close at hand and shouted excitedly, "The end!" His expression of excitement was vividly reflected on his face. The next moment, he collided with the barrier and let out a scream. Abe shivered with empathy, covering his eyes with his paws, unable to bear the sight. Hiss! Aaron gasped in pain, raising his head with grief and indignation. Am I destined to die today? Don't worry, Jin said respectfully. I mentioned that the endpoint is at the foot of the mountain, but that doesn't mean you have to pass through this barrier. If you want to leave here, you must find the exit yourself. Aaron was stunned for a moment, his brain racing rapidly. He needed an exact location. Blindly searching would be futile. Although there were no crimson cracks here, the magma would not stop and could catch up to him in at most 10 minutes. Finding the exit at the foot of the mountain within that time frame seemed like a matter of luck, especially since this volcano was anything but ordinary. Abe, a light flashed in Aaron's mind, and he immediately summoned the holy dragon. Look along this barrier for the black stone pillar you saw in the secret room. Abe roared, flapped his wings, and flew to one side. After more than half a minute, he returned and pointed out the direction to Aaron. About 500 meters to the left, there's a black pillar there. Beautiful, Aaron said, taking a step and walking calmly to the front of the stone pillar. Uncle Jins, this is it? Jins nodded slightly. Congratulations, young master, for clearing the first dungeon. Aaron snorted disdainfully and leaned against the stone pillar, admiring the scene of the volcanic eruption with a meaningful gaze. Master, won't you come out? Jins asked. It's all here. I can't come here for nothing. Just treat it as a long-term experience. Jins was speechless. The speed of the magma was slower than Aaron had anticipated. When the dark red lava was less than a meter away from him, he placed his hand on top of the stone pillar. Click! The barrier instantly shattered. The lava, the volcano, and the thick smoke turned into nothingness in an instant, and Aaron returned to the real secret room. After escaping from danger, the first thing Aaron did was walk up to Jin's, raise his wand, and cast a scarlet spell. The corner of Jin's mouth twitched, a layer of white light flashed across his body, and he deflected the spell in another direction. Master, calm down. I can't calm down, Aaron said angrily. I endured the past, but this was too much. I almost fell into the lava pool several times. I've never been so thrilled in my life. I know, Jin said helplessly. Actually, I also think it's a bit too much, but this is your father's order. Stop it. Patriarch is amazing. I'll write to my grandfather right now, asking him to come back and give me justice. I'm afraid that won't work. Jins shook his head, looking at Aaron with some sympathy. Master, let me say something you might not like to hear, but is very realistic. Your father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and so on have all experienced the same embarrassment in this secret room. You should understand what that means. You mean, Aaron pursed his lips, my grandpa is also waiting to see me make a fool of myself. Jins was silent for a moment. That's it, if nothing else happens. In one sentence, the last trace of hope in Aaron's heart was shattered. It wasn't that there were bad people among the masses, but that he was the only good person among them. The gap was too great. How could this be? If it weren't for this, I, a mere butler, would not dare to arrange such a dungeon for the young master. However, the young master's performance was truly outstanding. Although he was a bit childish at the end, it was not harmful. Aaron smiled bitterly. What was Vico like when he encountered a volcanic eruption? The patriarch arrived at. Aaron looked at his fairly clean cloth, and felt a surge of pride. At least he was stronger than his father, and it seemed like the new generation was surpassing the old. Can I go now? Staying here is making me anxious, Aaron asked, glancing at his watch. A trace of hesitation flashed in Jin's eyes. Well, can I? Aaron pressed impatiently. Give me a straight answer. The master requires 3 hours of training a day. You still have an hour and 45 minutes left. You might have to continue, Jins replied. Aaron felt a wave of frustration. Is he trying to kill me? 3 hours a day? Even a tiger doesn't eat its cubs. The head of the family has no such intention, Jins assured him. I can guarantee that. Uncle Jins, Aaron said with a pleading smile. You've watched me grow up. Don't you think it's too much for me to endure these natural disasters every day? Of course, young master. You're still young. I even protested to the master, saying this training method is too extreme for a child. Once a week would be more reasonable, Jin said. Aaron nodded in agreement. He thought it was unfair that he had to endure this training 3 years earlier than his father, Vico. However, his hope was dashed when Jins continued. But my suggestion was rejected. The reason is simple. People are different. Geniuses require unique training methods. Using ordinary methods to train a genius would be a waste of talent. And you, young master, are the best the Gaius family has seen in 100 years. Aaron rolled his eyes, deciding to keep the existence of his thought body a secret until the time was right. The current training was already terrifying. Any more would be unbearable. I don't entirely agree with that, Jin said. No matter how talented someone is, they need time to grow. A 13-year-old shouldn't be exposed to this. The head of the family also felt he might have been too hasty, so he decided to judge based on your first performance. If you had failed, it would be once every 3 days, and the time wouldn't exceed an hour. But you succeeded in completing an impossible task, especially with the semi-finished ultimate magic circle. The patriarch was impressed, so now you have to train for at least 3 hours a day. Aaron was stunned. It seemed being too good was indeed a curse. Uncle Jins, it's just the two of us here. Can't you just turn a blind eye and let me go? Aaron pleaded. Young master, I truly want to help you. I even hinted that you could give up earlier, Jins said helplessly. But since you touched that black stone pillar, the patriarch has been informed. I can't go against his orders. Hearing this, Aaron felt defeated. His father had outsmarted him again. But if I spend 3 hours in this training every day, won't the other teachers be upset? Aaron asked. Don't worry about that, Jin said, pulling out a schedule. I anticipated this and prepared 2 schedules, one for 1 hour daily extreme training and another for 3-hour daily extreme training. This one is the latter. Aaron's eyes twitched slightly. You even prepared for this? Of course, as your housekeeper and temporary guardian, I made sure everything was ready, Jin said calmly. Aaron had discussed the situation with more than 20 adults in the secret room for a long time. It's really considerate, Aaron said through gritted teeth. Thank you for the compliment, Jins replied modestly. It's all for the young master's growth. My hard work is nothing. Aaron thought to himself, no matter how I look at it, it doesn't seem like I'm praising you. Time is limited. It's time for you to start the next extreme challenge, Jin said, trying his best to smile kindly. He encouraged Aaron, I believe you will be able to do it, young master. After speaking, the floor beneath Aaron's feet lifted him into the sky again, and the environment in the room changed. What was once an erupting, active volcano transformed into a white, snow-covered mountain. The biting cold wind howled into Aaron's clothes, making him shiver. Fortunately, his physical fitness was heish enough to withstand the low temperature. Otherwise, it would have been unbearable. Wait a minute, Aaron called out to Jins, but as soon as he spoke, a distant mountain peak began to collapse, sending white snow tumbling into the cliff. Gulp, Aaron couldn't help but swallow nervously. He already guessed what he would face next. An avalanche, and not just any avalanche. The landscape was a sea of white, and if the snow pressed down, it would definitely be faster than magma. What's the matter, sir? Jins asked. Aaron lowered his voice. Can I take a break? Jins looked at his watch, pretending to check the time. There is only 1.5 hours left. The world is unpredictable, and the enemy will only take advantage of your vulnerability. They won't give you any rest time. Okay, I can't refute that reason, Aaron said, his face grim. Then I have another question. Please, go ahead. Tell me where the exit is, at least. Unfortunately, this scenario has no exit. All you have to do, young master, is to ensure that you don't die within an hour and a half. Of course, it doesn't matter if you fail, but believe me, being engulfed in ice and snow is definitely not a good feeling. Is that so? Aaron mused, looking at the snowflakes flying in the sky. A playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I don't want to experience the feeling of being frozen to death. Seeing Aaron's confident look, Jins didn't say much. He waved his wand lightly, and the snow mountain began to shake violently. With a huge impact force, the white demon of snow swept down with great speed and strength. Cut! Aaron curled his lips, remaining extremely calm in the face of such a terrifying natural disaster. Master, Jins couldn't help but remind him, you only have less than 30 seconds. Calm down, Aaron waved his hand dismissively. I can't outrun an avalanche, let alone draw an ultimate magic circle in half a minute, and an ultimate magic circle of this scale can't stop it. Then you can't just wait to die. Jins shouted eagerly, looking at his young master with a bit of frustration. You should struggle a little bit. Don't worry, I have my own ideas, Aaron said, raising his wand. He drew an ice blue magic circle and summoned a huge ice block. I can still do superficial transfiguration. As the shape of the ice block changed, Jins was dumbfounded, astonishment written all over his face. Chapter 2 and 8, Surrounded by Hidden Bosses. That's... Jins swallowed, his face contorted in confusion. A coffin? Obviously, Aaron replied, giving him a blank look. He opened the lid of the coffin and lay down inside. I wanted to build a Noah's Ark, but my strength doesn't allow it. Jins was momentarily speechless. He wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. The young master was indeed talented, but in this secret room, talent alone wasn't enough. Accumulation of experience and resources mattered more. The older one was, the more advantages they had. Sufficient magical energy and knowledge reserves allowed them to handle crises calmly. But the young master was just a 13-year-old child. Even if his magical energy was up to par, the spells he had learned so far couldn't handle such a significant challenge. Creating an exquisite coffin for oneself before dying was, in a way, a form of elegance. Jins nodded to himself, thinking he had guessed the young master's intentions. Aaron, who was putting the coffin lid on himself, suddenly shuddered, but didn't think much of it. After all, this kind of environment could easily make anyone tremble. Rumble, as expected, a massive amount of snow engulfed the coffin. After a violent bump, Aaron opened his eyes to pitch darkness. It's buried deep enough. Aaron chuckled, then picked up his wand. Lumos. The darkness was dispelled by the light, revealing an extremely thick layer of white snow, which made him feel a sense of oppression. Okay, it's not just deep, it's very, very deep, Aaron muttered, lying in his carefully crafted ice coffin, contemplating his next move. Apparate to a safe place? No, if he left now, Jins would definitely send him to the next challenge. He didn't want to experience this thrilling feeling repeatedly. Moreover, if his teleportation ability was exposed, Jins would prepare in advance, making it impossible for him to escape unexpectedly in the future. After contemplating for a while, lying flat became his first choice. Skipping class was out of the question for now, but taking a nap wouldn't hurt. With this in mind, Aaron raised his wand and made a small hole in the coffin lid, drawing 2 magic circles. A wind attribute magic array ensured air circulation, and a fire attribute magic array kept the temperature inside the coffin from dropping too low. After more than an hour, the secret room returned to normal. Jins and Ab saw Aaron lying on the ground and anxiously stepped forward to check, but as they got closer, their faces lit up with surprise. The person they were most worried about was sleeping soundly, as if he was having a pleasant dream. As expected of the young master, Jins was speechless. The last time someone was this lazy was over 1,000 years ago. Abe stretched out his paw and shook Aaron awake. "Master, wake up!" "Huh?" Aaron rubbed his eyes. "Is it time?" "It's here," Jins said, giving a thumbs up. "Master, your performance really surprised me. You won't need to experience the avalanche again." "Careless. Why did I fall asleep?" Aaron stood up immediately. This was precious rest time. He couldn't just give it up. "No, I don't agree." "Master, I have to remind you," Jin said helplessly. "I am responsible for arranging your courses. This kind of sneaky trick is enough to play once." Aaron still wanted to argue, but Jins kept a straight face. "This matter is not negotiable. You can protest, but the protest is invalid." "All right," Aaron conceded. Jins took out another set of keys, looked at the serial number of the secret room on the wall, and inserted it into the number 1 position. A fiery breath rushed over, and the forging room, with the volcano center as its energy core, appeared before the 2 and 1 dragon. "I don't like volcanoes. They are always moody," Aaron said, shaking his head as he skillfully placed his right hand on the key. On the palm model of the black stone pillar, Aaron Gaius, with his black hair and silver pupils, appeared. "Long time no see, little Aaron." "It's been a long time, ancestor," Aaron replied awkwardly. "School just ended yesterday, so I came here today." "There's nothing to complain about," Alger said, rubbing Aaron's head. "This era is not bad. When I was alive, I was always going to war. But I just experienced volcanic eruptions and avalanches, and my spirit was severely damaged," Aaron explained. Hearing this, Alger slowly turned his head to look at Jins. His sharp eyes made a layer of cold sweat appear on Jin's forehead. "Well done. This is what he has to go through. The sooner the better." "The subordinates understand." Jins breathed a sigh of relief and then gave his young master a provocative look, as if to say, "Do you see that the teacher team is all on my side?" Aaron was dumbfounded. He thought someone would stand up for him, but the result, it hurt so much. "I heard from Vico that you took my sword?" Alger asked playfully. "Is it easy to use?" "It's so easy to use. I split that giant snake in half with 1 stroke," Aaron replied. "Very well. The first thing you will do this holiday is to forge a sword." "Ancestor," Aaron hesitated, "my current level is only slightly better than blacksmiths in the Muggle world. Is it too early to build weapons?" "I think so too, but your time is running out. If you don't get started early and accumulate experience, you may miss the opportunity to forge artifacts in the future." Aaron was at a loss. He almost understood, but what did it mean that his time was running out? It was easy to be scared. "Ahem," Jins coughed and cautiously reminded. "Master Alger, the young master is only 13 years old. It's not suitable for him to know too much." "He is entitled to know now. This is the result of our group of old men's discussions," Alger said, looking at Jins meaningfully. "Believe it or not, in another 2 years, he will be able to beat you." Jins froze for a moment, but quickly shook his head. "If you say he can beat me when he's an adult, I won't doubt it, but 2 years is too short." "Who do you look down on?" Aaron said angrily. "My subordinates definitely don't mean that. I just think it's a bit unrealistic. After all, I am a great magister." "Great magister?" Aaron gave him a surprised look. "I always thought that you were the pinnacle magister." Jin's old face darkened. "Master, you are the one who looks down on people, right? But 2 years ago, Vico said that one of the ways to keep the bodyguards from following me outside is to defeat them. At that time, he clearly told me that you are the magister. I've tried my best to put you at the top of the magister. Isn't that considered respect for you?" Forget it." Jins waved his hands tiredly. "Actually, The patriarch said that to give you some encouragement and hope, you can reach the level of a magister as soon as possible. When Aaron heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. If you are the Grand Magister, that means my other 6 bodyguards. Don't worry, young master. They are all mid-level magisters and above, Jin said proudly. And they have all experienced at least dozens of battles, so it is not a problem to leapfrog the enemy. Good guy, really good guy. Originally, he thought that his current strength could compete with the bodyguard team, and if he won, no one would be able to protect him like surveillance in the future. But he didn't expect the reality to be so cruel. The difficulty had increased a lot, and he couldn't beat any of them. Now it seemed that it was quite difficult to defeat them in a short time. But he didn't dare to try the other 2 ways to gain freedom. The previous Magister had achieved it, but once exposed, the ancestors in the secret room could arrange for him to die in minutes. As for the 3rd type, it was even more impossible, marrying a wife and having children, and cultivating the next generation. This was a completely impossible task for a 13-year-old child. Aaron, Jin said calmly, I'm afraid the team of teachers in our school can't match it. That's not really the case, Jin's replied, maintaining his composure. At least your vice principal is quite formidable, not much weaker than me. The other deans are similar, especially Severus Snape. If he hadn't devoted most of his energy to potions, his talent would be comparable to that of a great magister. Aaron couldn't help but cover his face. It seemed like he was surrounded by hidden masters. And what about Albus Dumbledore? How much do you know about him? Aaron inquired. Dumbledore's strength far surpasses mine, Jins admitted. I don't know the full extent of his power. Is there anything else you don't know? Aaron teased. Jins felt slightly offended and hesitated before responding. The peak of the great magister, that was the evaluation of the old master many years ago. Dumbledore definitely deserves the title of the greatest white demon king of this century. Ordinary holy magisters may not be his match. Logically speaking, he could step into the holy realm at any time, but for some reason, he hasn't taken that step. Because a hurdle needs to be overcome, Alger said with a touch of emotion. What hurdle? Aaron asked curiously, almost forgetting that Alger was a holy magister before he passed away, a veritable expert. It's too early for you to understand, Alger replied. You'll know when you reach the peak of the great magister. My lord ancestor, won't you satisfy my curiosity? Aaron pleaded. Alger couldn't help but laugh. All right. Who made me have a descendant like you? He didn't want Aaron to be overly ambitious, but there were more than 20 of his ancestors in the secret room, some of whom were stronger than him in life. These people might not tell Aaron, but the one in charge of the library had to answer every question. From a magician to a magister depends on accumulation. When the magic energy reaches the standard, it will come naturally. Generally speaking, a wizard can enter this stage before the age of 40. So, there is no shortage of magisters in the wizarding world, but there are strong and weak magisters, and only a small part of them can break through to higher levels. To become a great magister, one needs talent to overcome those bottlenecks. After that, to enter the Holy Land, you need a strong enough heart to pass the hurdle deep within yourself. To put it bluntly, you need to surpass yourself. Hearing this, Aaron was stunned, and Jins frowned. There are always some words in the world that are inexplicable and difficult to understand, and self-transcendence is one of them. Huh? Did I not explain clearly enough? Alger asked. Aaron and Jins both nodded, and even Abe joined in, putting on a show. Try to be as straightforward as possible, in a way we can understand, Aaron said patiently. If possible, it's best to give an example. Alger pondered for a moment, then slowly raised his head and said, If you want to pursue eternal life, you can't be afraid of death. Oh, Aaron suddenly realized. Then if you can't get over this hurdle, is there no other way? There are ways, but... But what? Aaron pressed. Let's wait until you reach that level. I'm just a blacksmith, so it's inappropriate for me to say more. Aaron, I took out all my notebooks, and this is all you tell me? Chapter 209. God's opened windows are not easy to enter. Ding! 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 Aaron was hammering a piece of red-hot iron in front of the forging table, completely absorbed in his work. Sweat slid down his cheeks, but he instinctively used every ounce of strength to expel the impurities from the iron. Nearby, Abe was on a treadmill, forced by Jins to burn off his excess fat as quickly as possible. "That's great," Alger said with pride, looking at Aaron with admiration. "If he can put his energy into forging, he will definitely become a blacksmith surpassing me in the future." "But it's impossible," Jins replied, glancing at his watch. "In 10 minutes, it will be time for the young master's next class. Look." "You really spoil the fun." Alger curled his lips and snapped his fingers. With a crisp sound, everything in the secret room fell into a state of stillness. "What happened?" Aaron came back to his senses and looked at the two of them blankly. "An hour is almost up. It's time for you to start the next class," Jin said. Aaron put the hammer on the forging table and rubbed his sore arm. "Then what about my sword?" "You don't have to worry about that. This secret room is connected to my memory. Everything here is under my control. You can continue removing impurities in the next class," Alger explained. "So that's how it is," Aaron said, suddenly realizing. He looked at his half-formed sword embryo and frowned. "According to this, then the sword I made isn't real?" "Of course not. I constructed those ores based on my own memory," Alger said, noticing Aaron's darkened face. He quickly added, "I hoarded a batch of rare ores before I died, but it would be a shameful waste to use them on a novice." "But what you threw into the furnace just now was just ordinary iron ore. I haven't seen any of those so-called rare materials," Aaron retorted. "Didn't I put mithril in there just now?" Alger turned to look at Jins and asked. "Maybe not," Jins replied. "What about black iron, meteorites, and fire crystals?" Alger pressed. "It seems." Jins was about to shake his head when he saw Alger's warning eyes. He immediately changed his words. "I have been urging Abe to run, and I didn't pay much attention." "Don't be so realistic," Alger said with some embarrassment. "This is just a simple simulation, but it can give you a quite real experience." "Oh, it doesn't matter. In short, you left a lot of wealth during your lifetime, and they are all waiting for me to inherit," Aaron said, lifting Abe off the treadmill and following Jins to the next classroom. Alger looked at Aaron's back, smiled wryly, and shook his head. This junior spoke lightly. He was a person who regarded forging as his life. Seeing those rare materials scrapped was more uncomfortable than seeing his own son die. Since Aaron had successfully graduated in some majors last year, Jins had cut some subjects according to the actual situation. When they entered the second classroom, they saw Wilhelm with white hair. Just as Aaron was about to say hello, Wilhelm teleported to him. Looking at each other, the old man showed a playful smile. "Your strength has improved quite well." Aaron's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Wilhelm saw that his current mana was not complete? It shouldn't be. It would be excusable if it was the thought body, but he was the original body, and logically speaking, it was impossible to expose it. "Intermediate mage, it can be seen that you have not wasted this year," Wilhelm said. Aaron breathed a sigh of relief, as if Wilhelm hadn't noticed anything unusual. "Master, are you an intermediate wizard?" Jin said with a look of astonishment. "No wonder Master Alger said that you can surpass me within 2 years." "Keep pretending. Just keep pretending," Aaron sneered. "The ancestors can see it because I am in their memory space. But you, a great magister, can't see it?" "He really can't see it," Wayhead explained. "The title of Great Magister sounds impressive, but in reality it's not that advanced." Jins blushed slightly but didn't dare to refute. Regardless of his status, this lord could suppress him with one hand, whether he was alive or dead. Aaron was also a little speechless at this. "Please don't be so embarrassed, okay? This makes me, a mid-level magister, feel even more inadequate. But Dumbledore is also a great magister." Aaron paused slightly and then smiled. "All right, he is a great magister who can break through to the Holy Realm at any time, and he's not on the same level as the housekeeper." "Master," Jin said, feeling a bit frustrated and helpless, "could you save me some face?" "Next time, definitely." "It's time for class," Wayhead said, looking at Aaron. "Show me your achievements this year." "I will definitely not let you down," Aaron said proudly. He had full confidence in himself when it came to the magic circle. "But before that, I have a small question. I hope you can help me answer it." Wayhead became a little interested. "Tell me, what problem could possibly bother you?" What is the method for a great magister to break through to the Holy Realm? Mood, Whitehead said directly. Different people have different difficulties. Some people have a detached state of mind, and if they accumulate enough magic energy, it will happen naturally. Others have complicated thoughts that can chain them in place. The former can see a brand new landscape and step up to a higher level, while the latter can only look at the ocean and sigh. However, this does not prevent them from improving their background. It is not impossible to leapfrog if the talent is high enough. Aaron nodded slowly, completely understanding why Dumbledore had been wandering on the edge of the Holy Land. That old bastard had more than 800 hard eyes and had been focusing on fighting the Dark Lord. So it was no wonder he hadn't succeeded. Then is there any other way besides reaching the state of mind? Aaron asked. Of course, God will open a window after closing a door for you, Whitehead said lightly, then looked at Aaron. But don't worry, your door is open. Aaron rolled his eyes. You, like Ancestor Arg, like to whet people's appetites. What I want to know is, what happens with that window? Whitehead raised his eyebrows. You don't need to know this. What if I must know? Aaron said solemnly. This has nothing to do with curiosity. It's just that my current main opponent may be at this level. He's crazy, and I need to know if it's possible for him to take that step. Hearing this, Whitehead looked at Jins with a violent aura. Is this how you take care of him? You let him offend a wizard in the quasi-sacred realm at such a young age? Jins was forced to take several steps back, his face pale, and he half-kneeled on the ground. It has nothing to do with him. It's my own carelessness, Aaron said, standing in front of Jins and blocking most of the pressure for him. It's not a good thing for a person to be too good. Both Black and White are trying to find ways to fight for me. Are the contemporary Dark Lord and White Lord? Whitehead was thoughtful, with a playful expression on the corner of his mouth. I can imagine your life at Hogwarts. It must be very interesting. It's very exciting, Aaron corrected. The world is not so good now. It's not easy to mess around anywhere. Think about it. Every era is like this. You don't look for trouble, but things will find you, Whitehead said. With a wave of his hand, Jin stood up directly, and the pressure on his body suddenly dissipated. Gulp! Aaron couldn't help swallowing. He knew that this ancestor was very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong that he could easily handle a great magister. Ancestor, how strong were you before you were alive? Me? Whitehead's eyes flashed a trace of regret, and Aaron felt a twinge of pride. If you want to know, wait for Vico to come back and ask him in person. There is a record of it in the family history. Just tell me, no need to be so secretive, Aaron insisted. Master, Jins interjected, shaking his head at Aaron, signaling him to stop asking questions. All right, I was being too nosy, Aaron conceded, suppressing his curiosity. Vico and the others would return in a month, and he would find out then. Ancestor, can you tell me what that window is? Aaron asked, changing the subject. Wirt smiled wryly. I admire your persistence. If you want to go to the outside world through that window, you must exert a tremendous amount of effort. The process is torturous. If you don't have enough strength, you can't pass through. Even if you do manage to squeeze through, you'll pay a price. Excess mana will dissipate involuntarily, and you'll experience a long period of weakness. I think I understand, Aaron said, stroking his chin thoughtfully. To pass through that window, one's magic energy must be significantly higher than that of a holy magister. Once that threshold is crossed, no matter how much magic energy was originally accumulated, it will fall back to the standard of entering the Holy Realm, and there will be a period of decline. That's correct, Wirt confirmed, gratified by Aaron's understanding. Aaron breathed a sigh of relief. This was the best news he had heard all year. Neither Dumbledore nor Voldemort would cross that bottleneck until they completely eliminated each other. Everyone wanted to see higher vistas, but one had to restrain their desires until hidden dangers were eradicated. Breaking through only to be ambushed by an old enemy would be a tragic end. I've answered your question. Now show me your achievements this year, Wirt demanded. No problem, but... Aaron glanced in Jins's direction. Most of his strength had been revealed, but he still kept a small part hidden. You go out first, Wirt instructed. I will send him to the next classroom when the time is up. Yes, Jins replied respectfully, opening the door to another secret room. However, he hesitated, then turned back, looking slightly embarrassed. Master, can you let Abe come with me? You know how he is. If he's not supervised, he'll definitely slack off on his weight loss. Hearing this, Aaron looked at the young white dragon hiding in the corner. Abe clutched his empty pockets, pretending to be wronged and on the verge of tears. Aaron's heart softened. Knowing that Abe was lamenting the loss of his snack stash, Aaron shook his head helplessly. Forget it. It's okay to let him rest for a class. Chapter 210, Gradually Rising Evaluation. Seeing Abe flying around the room cheerfully, Aaron felt a lot more relaxed. He shrugged, took out his black wand, and began to carve in mid-air. After a while, a red magic formation emerged, and a ball of flames shot towards the wall. However, a magic circle on the wall released an emerald green light, and the flame was turned to ashes in an instant. A defensive magic circle? I didn't expect it to be activated, Aaron exclaimed. Of course it can be activated. As long as there is magic power to supply these magic circles, they can keep running, Wayhet replied. Let's not talk about this now, Aaron said, showing a flattering smile. Ancestor, how was my performance just now? It's not that good. You need to spend more time on the elementary magic circle. It's far from what I expected. Wayhet patted Aaron's shoulder with a meaningful smile. Do you think this level can fool me? It was seen. Aaron was not at all embarrassed and slowly stretched out his right hand towards the wall. He cast the same magic circle, but this time it was instantaneous, and the power of the flames was stronger than before. How about this? Barely passable. Wayhet smacked his lips. Your talent in the magic circle is excellent. If you can't even achieve instant casting in the elementary magic circle within a year, then I will be too disappointed. The corner of Aaron's mouth twitched. He didn't expect his teacher to be so demanding. I still have to attend classes, take exams, and do homework at Hogwarts. Especially this year, something happened at the school. A basilisk raised by Salazar Slytherin was released by his heir, causing panic. So, it's not that I don't work hard. It's just not easy in this environment. You think I didn't take this into account? Furthermore, you are the heir of Gaius's generation, Wayhet said disdainfully. The descendants of mere Salazar Slytherin are not worth your wasting so much energy. Ancestor, you may not know much about it, but that heir is particularly tricky. You despise him, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to threaten me, Aaron said, still having lingering fears from the secret room incident. His descendants are 16 years old, and I am only 13. It was luck to survive. Alas, Wayhet let out a long sigh. You didn't understand what I meant. I was just annoyed by your nosy meddling when you were full. I don't want to either. Aaron smiled wryly. The problem is, those teammates are really terrible. Everything could have been easily resolved. Hearing the depression in Aaron's voice, Wayhet smiled and shook his head. That's your business. Excellent, Junior. Continue. Your demonstration should not be over yet. Aaron nodded, waved his wand lightly, and drew a more complicated green magic circle. A fierce gust of wind blew towards the wall, but it was blocked by the defensive magic circle without any accidents. Not satisfactory, Wayhet crossed his arms and made an objective evaluation. However, being able to draw an intermediate magic circle within 10 seconds proves that you have not been lazy this year. You can barely pass. You just passed, Aaron said angrily, feeling that his efforts seemed to be worthless. Otherwise, in today's magic world, spells are the mainstream. 10 seconds of drawing a magic circle is enough time for your enemies to kill you several times. Even if it is instant, the mid-level magic circle will not help you too much. At most, it will give you some advantages in leapfrog combat. Aaron rolled his eyes, speechless. Ancestor, don't talk so easily. I am confident that I can crush wizards my age, but it is not easy to tie in a leapfrog challenge. If I want to win, I guess I have to pay some price. Hearing this, Wayhet frowned. Isn't this a basic operation? When I was alive, I liked to challenge those who were stronger than me. It was my greatest pleasure before I became an adult to prove my worth with the magic circle they looked down upon. Aaron, sorry to shame you for future genera, tie-ins, Wilhelm said, feeling a pang of guilt. After a moment of silence, Aaron, who felt disheartened, squatted on the ground and drew circles in the dirt. Abbe, sensing his master's distress, flew over and glared at Wilhelm before landing in front of Aaron, doing his best to comfort him. Although Wilhelm was a bit confused, he could sense the negative energy surrounding Aaron. Ahem. Take heart, and don't think too much. My talents are primarily focused on the magic circle, and my combat power is significantly stronger than those of the same level. But in other aspects, I can't compare. You should understand that. Hearing this, a glimmer of hope appeared in Aaron's eyes. It made sense. There was no need to compare himself to someone who was well-rounded when he was specialized. It's normal to attack the other's strengths with one's own weaknesses, but it's no match. Seeing this, Wilhelm breathed a sigh of relief. Even in the Gaius family, few could master the magic circle as Aaron had within a year. He didn't want to see such a promising talent give up in despair. Ancestor, actually, I've practiced a little advanced magic circle, Aaron said suddenly. Oh, Wilhelm was a little surprised. You didn't mention it earlier. I thought you were still working on the instant cast of the intermediate magic circle. I didn't expect you to invest in the high-level magic circle. Aaron shrugged and drew a purple magic circle in midair, with fine purple lightning flashing around it. The moment the magic circle was completed, a thunderstorm erupted, lighting up the entire secret room. Boom! A white defensive magic circle appeared on the wall, blocking the violent thunder. It lasted for several seconds before dissipating. Not bad. Very good. Very good. Wilhelm laughed heartily. To achieve this in half a minute is impressive. You are truly my descendant. Did I pass this time? Aaron asked, pouting. If the full score is 100, you can score 90, Wilhelm said with emotion. Don't think this evaluation is low. Among the people I know, you can rank in the top 10. Only in the top 10? Aaron was a little unconvinced. Who is number 1? Of course it's me, Wilhelm said matter-of-factly. I'm not exaggerating. So far, I have been at the forefront in the field of magic circles. I guess that's true. Aaron thought to himself. These ancestors in the secret room could at least rank among the top 3 in their respective fields of expertise. Do you have anything else to show? Don't hide anything from me. Only by understanding your progress can I give you professional guidance. Aaron was silent for a while, then nodded slightly. Wilhelm's face was full of relief. I take back what I said earlier. If you can create the ultimate magic circle at the age of 13, you can be ranked second, just below me. Don't be dazed, Wilhelm urged, making a gesture of invitation. I am looking forward to your performance. But Ancestor, the power of the ultimate magic circle is too great. This secret room may not be able to withstand it, Aaron said with some concern. He had spent a lot of energy in the battle with Tom Riddle to create an ultimate magic circle and understood its destructive power. Don't worry, the defense of this secret room is higher than the defense array of Gaius Castle. It can even block the destruction of taboos and abyss magic. Even if it shakes from the ultimate magic array, it will hold. Furthermore, the power of the ultimate magic circle can only be truly exerted by a great magister. You are only an intermediate magician now, so even if you draw the ultimate magic circle, its power will be greatly reduced. Aaron frowned slightly. Does the great magister have to be able to exert the power of the ultimate magic circle? Can't the magister do it? Aaron asked, his curiosity piqued. Of course not, Wayhet replied, shaking his head. Unless their mana reserves are close to that of a grand magister. Let me give you a simple example. If an apprentice magician draws a forbidden magic circle, or even an abyss magic circle, do you think he can exert even 1/10 of its power? 1/10 is still a big deal, Aaron mused. What are you thinking about? Wayhet flicked Aaron's forehead lightly. This idea is very dangerous. Wizards of different levels consume different amounts of magic energy to describe a magic circle. If an apprentice magician tries to activate 2 magic circles that can only be used by holy magisters, they would be drained of their magic energy and faint almost immediately. Is it really that serious? Aaron asked, his eyes wide with concern. It's that serious, Wayhet confirmed. Last year, I wanted to remind you to take things step by step before you started school, but I didn't expect you to run off. I bet Jinxi's face was absolutely gloomy, like water could drip from it. Why didn't I think of skipping class before? Maybe you weren't pushed as hard as I was, Aaron suggested. No, Wyatt chuckled. I was in a similar situation, surrounded by various courses. Maybe, just maybe, I was more honest. Aaron couldn't help but think, there may be honest people in the Gaius family, but they are few and far between, and Wyatt is definitely not one of them. Enough talk. Let's get started, Wyatt said, clapping his hands together. Then get ready to be surprised, Aaron declared, a confident smile playing on his lips. He raised his wand and began to concentrate, drawing a crimson elemental magic circle in midair. About 7 minutes later, the magic circle was nearly complete, and fire elements quickly gathered, forming a high-temperature flame around it. Suddenly, an extremely ferocious fire dragon burst forth, slamming into the defensive magic circle. Rumble. The fire dragon, seemingly undeterred, kept pushing forward. The flames spread, but more magic circles activated in response, resisting and wearing away the fire. The secret room was awash in a kaleidoscope of colors. Soon, everything returned to normal. The defensive side had won completely, with only the smell of burning in the air as evidence of the fierce collision. Aaron panted slightly, unable to believe that the attack he had released with all his strength had only produced a few sparks. Not bad, Wyatt said, clapping. How do you feel? I feel like you didn't lie to me, Aaron admitted, silently comparing the scene to his fight with Riddle. The power of the ultimate magic circle portrayed by a mage was indeed different from that of a magister. It's a bit difficult to use the ultimate magic circle with my current magic energy. It's good that you understand, Wyatt said, nodding. What you need to do this holiday is very simple. Just practice the intermediate and advanced magic circles honestly. Chapter 211. People are really different. Is it just elemental magic? Aaron asked, a hint of dissatisfaction in his voice. I want to learn something else, preferably something that can improve my combat effectiveness. Smack! Before he could finish speaking, a hand landed on his head. Do you know what haste makes waste means? Wyatt said sternly. I appreciate your eagerness to learn, but you can't be too greedy. You can't bite off more than you can chew. But I've been studying elemental magic circles for a year now, Aaron protested. I've almost mastered water, earth, wind, and thunder. Given enough time, I could even handle the ultimate magic circle, not to mention the taboo and abyss level ones. So I want to learn something else, like summoning, teleportation, dismantling, anything that can boost my combat power quickly. Wyatt paused for a moment, then shook his head with a smile. Didn't I teach you all those things last year? Ancestor, don't brush me off, Aaron insisted. What you taught me last year was just the basics. After studying them, I realized they aren't even intermediate-level magic circles. Summoning is somewhat useful, but the summoned creatures are limited unless they've signed a contract. Otherwise, I have to expend part of my magic energy. Wyatt pondered for a while. This is for your own good. It's based on my teaching experience accumulated over thousands of years. You're too weak right now, and learning the elemental magic circle is the best choice because the summoned elemental energy will be under your control. Aaron's head filled with question marks. So, according to you, other magic circles have certain risks? That's natural, Wyatt shrugged. My fourth apprentice had a particular fondness for summoning magic circles, but he didn't realize that summoned creatures have their own thoughts and won't obey the summoner's orders 100% unless the summoner has the strength to suppress them. When he was 14, he drew an ultimate summoning magic circle and summoned an abyssal demon comparable to a great magister. If I hadn't intervened in time, he might have died. My 13th apprentice preferred sealing magic, and his talent was worse than yours. He was like you, begging me to teach him more advanced magic circles. I agreed after careful consideration, but he almost sealed the entire castle and himself into a different space. Gulp. Are these seniors so fond of excitement? Aaron couldn't help but swallow. Wait, since you're so proficient in magic circles, why didn't you stop them at the time? Alas, Wyatt said, a mix of pride and embarrassment in his voice. Because these accidents never happened to me. I can control every magic circle I draw 100%, so I thought they were the same. But I didn't expect. I only realized more than 200 years ago that not everyone is like me. Maybe it's a difference in talent. Aaron, what's with this thick air of superiority? More than 200 years ago? Even if you realized it later, Your heart must be too big. Wayhet scratched his head, looking at Aaron's stunned expression. He felt a bit embarrassed. Actually, it's not entirely my fault. I'm very strict in choosing apprentices, and often there's only one in several generations that I like. In other words, it can take decades, hundreds of years, or even longer for me to find a suitable descendant. Most of these descendants learn some useful magic circles and then give up the subject. They've never had any problems. However, those who are willing to study hard inevitably encounter accidents when they reach advanced levels. The interval between accidents is at least 200 years, so I thought they were just flukes. Good grief, really good grief. Aaron stared blankly at this white-haired senior who looked so kindly, and, for the first time, Aaron felt that the other party was utterly unreliable. Simultaneously, he silently thanked the seniors who had helped him avoid the pitfalls ahead. If it weren't for them, he would likely have stumbled. So you mean that until I have the ability to resist these risks, I cannot learn high-level magic circles other than elemental ones? Aaron asked. Almost. Wayhert did not deny it. In addition to ability, it also requires a certain amount of talent. After all, there are too many types of magic circles, and not everyone can excel in all aspects like me. Aaron choked, the corners of his eyes twitching. This ancestor really didn't know how to be modest. Although it was true, it always sounded like there was an urge to hit someone. It's a pity. I thought I could learn some magic circles to improve my combat power this holiday, Aaron said with some regret. Now it seems that we can only do it step by step. Do you have any misunderstandings about elemental magic circles? Weyhert frowned slightly. Elemental magic circles were relatively common in the past, but they are definitely among the best in terms of destructive power. Moreover, most wizards in the past could only control 1 to 3 types, and you are already considered a rare existence. Aaron was a little disapproving. He would have to use a trick of killing 1,000 enemies while damaging himself by 800 to fight someone like Tom Riddle, and he almost fell because of this. Unless the higher-level magic circle could be fired instantly, it wouldn't increase his combat power much in a short period. You don't seem to believe it. Wyert's mouth revealed a touch of amusement. How about we compare? I will let you see the brilliance of the magic circle. Don't be funny, ancestor. Aaron shook his head with a wry smile. You can make djinns breathless with just one look. Isn't it purely seeking abuse when I fight with you? I'm not bullying you. You are an intermediate wizard, so I will suppress my strength to the level of an intermediate wizard. That won't work. Aaron became vigilant and refused very seriously. Your combat experience is countless times richer than mine. Even if you suppress your strength, I have no chance of winning. He was not stupid. Ancestor Weyert had also said before that leapfrog challenges were commonplace for him. Although Aaron was somewhat confident in his own strength, he was not so confident that he could fight against this strong and shameless ancestor at the same level, unless he took back his mind-body, or his brain was flooded. Then I'll go down one more level. How about the elementary level of a mage? Weyert said temptingly. You can use all means, including calling your pet. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. If he added a holy dragon, maybe he could win. But the next moment, he threw this idea out of his mind. Ancestor Weyert obviously had enough confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. Moreover, winning wouldn't do him any good. And losing would just be a beating for nothing. No matter how he looked at it, the gain outweighed the loss. Please forgive me for refusing. Aaron said calmly. I will never fight you. Weyert raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but sneer. Ha ha! You little guy is really interesting. I even admire your reason. Thank you for the compliment. Aaron wasn't embarrassed at all. He almost had the word fear written on his face, and Weyert could see that his thoughts couldn't be more normal. Ancestor, you won't force me, will you? Aaron suddenly thought of this possibility, and his expression changed slightly. If the ancestor attacked him directly, he would be forced to fight back. No, this kind of method is too simple and rude. Weyert snorted. It's rare to meet an excellent heir. If I scare you away, I will lose a lot if you don't come to this classroom in the future. So, you still have to do it voluntarily. Okay, Aaron nodded vigorously, heaving a sigh of relief. However, at the next moment, a red magic circle flashed in Wyatt's hand. A thick, weathered book appeared in Wyatt's hand. "This is?" Aaron asked, his curiosity piqued. "My notes from my lifetime," Wyatt replied, his voice filled with temptation. "They detail the functions of various magic circles. While they may not compare to what I possess now, everything you urgently need is in here. If you can defeat me, I will give you this book." Aaron's heart pounded faster than he expected. He gazed at the ancient book with longing. "Ancestor, it's not that I don't believe you," he said with a shy smile. "Can I inspect the goods first?" "No problem," Wyatt responded with a meaningful smile. "I have cast a spell called Forgetting on this book. No matter how good your memory is, you will not be able to remember its contents." Aaron felt a pang of disappointment. He had hoped to quickly memorize the contents and study them later, but now it seemed his plan was futile. Eagerly, Aaron took the book and began to flip through its pages. His expression grew increasingly astonished. The book contained descriptions of elemental magic circles, as well as those for sealing, enchanting, decomposition, death, summoning, space, and even time. "Is this real?" Aaron's voice trembled with disbelief. "Of course it's real," Wyatt said, quietly taking the book back. "But don't get too excited. This book doesn't contain magic powerful enough to distort reality. It's mostly theory and some basic applications." "That's still remarkable," Aaron said, almost incoherently. "You could stand shoulder to shoulder with the founder of Gaius, right?" "No," Wyatt shook his head earnestly. "Compared to him, I am far behind. My life's accomplishments are nothing compared to our common ancestor, a magician like no other." "Is it really that exaggerated?" Aaron asked, puzzled. "It's a fact," Wyatt replied. "You'll understand when you meet him." "But hasn't he been dead for thousands of years?" Aaron questioned. Wyatt realized he had said too much and quickly explained, "I have been dead for thousands of years, yet you can still see me, can't you?" That's true," Aaron nodded. More than 20 of his ancestors had managed to preserve their existence through their memories. It made sense that the most powerful one could do so as well. "Is he in the family secret room?" Aaron asked. "You will know when your father returns," Wyatt said meaningfully. He then raised the magic book in his hand. "Enough talking. Now, tell me if you want to compete with me." Chapter 2:12. Stop playing. Definitely cheating. Aaron looked up at the magic book in Wyatt's hand, then glanced at the baby holy dragon flying around the ceiling, and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. He had a significant advantage in this duel. His magical energy was a level higher than his opponent's, making his spells not only more durable, but also more powerful. Now a holy dragon with a body length of 3 meters had greatly improved attack and defense capabilities. The destructive power of the dragon's breath was comparable to that of an advanced magic circle. Additionally, Aaron could use all means at his disposal, while his opponent was limited to elemental magic circles. Despite these advantages, Aaron felt a sense of unease. "Have you made up your mind?" Wyatt asked nonchalantly, picking at his ear. "Don't waste your class time. If you don't want to, just forget it." Hearing this, Aaron gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. "I accept." "You didn't disappoint me," Wyatt chuckled, putting the magic book into a dark space. "If you don't have the courage to seize the opportunities in front of you, you'll miss out on even greater ones in the future." "I didn't think about it that deeply," Aaron replied, waving his hand. "Fortune favors the bold. If I lose this competition, I'll just get beaten. But if I win, I can earn a magic book. There's no reason not to take the gamble." With that, Aaron beckoned, and a deep, profound pronunciation came from his mouth. Ab, who had been entertaining himself, suddenly paused and quickly flew over Aaron's head, staring solemnly at Wyatt. "Dragon language? Interesting. Your butler didn't mention that," Wyatt remarked. "There are many things you don't know," Aaron said with some pride, though he knew that to win this competition, he might have to reveal more of his cards than just the missing body. "Shall we begin?" Wyatt asked indifferently. "I'll give you the first move." "Don't regret it," Aaron sneered, then took out his wand and gave Abe a wink. "Cover me." Abe nodded slightly, his body suddenly enlarging 100-fold, and a holy white light flashed on his densely packed scales. Aaron took advantage of the bunker to tap his wand on himself and disappeared from sight. Wiehet's combat experience was thousands of times richer than his own, and Aaron knew it was unwise to confront him head-on. He needed to test the strength of this ancestor first, and then adapt accordingly. Roar! Abe roared, and a fiery dragon's breath spewed from his mouth. Wow! Wiehet's mouth curved into a slight smile as he clasped his hands together. An ice-blue magic circle flashed in front of him, and a thick wall of ice blocked the flames. The holy dragon, hovering about 3 meters away, used its fangs and claws as weapons, launching an attack on the benevolent old man before him. Wiehet didn't dodge or evade, watching the scene with interest. A yellow magic circle slowly rotated under his feet, and a row of earth spikes rose from the ground. Seeing this, Ab had to abandon the offensive and flew upwards, narrowly avoiding the spikes. Although confident that his scales could block the earth spikes, he was still a 2-year-old child, and those needles would be painful. Aaron, who was secretly observing the battle, was stunned. He understood why Wiehet was so confident. He had nearly perfected the art of instant intermediate magic circles. You have a pretty good battle pet, but unfortunately it's too young. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to handle in my current state, Wiehet sighed, soon showing a look of astonishment. An illusion curse well used. It's not a spell a wizard your age should be able to master, but I would like to give you a piece of advice. It is best not to use this kind of magic in front of wizards who are stronger than you, Wilhelm advised. I know, Aaron's voice echoed from all directions, but your current strength is 1 level weaker than mine. Unless you cheat, it will not be so easy to find me. That's true, Wilhelm admitted, but it doesn't mean I don't have other options. As he finished speaking, Wilhelm raised his right hand. A few seconds later, a huge blue magic circle appeared on the ceiling. Rain began to fall, creating a curtain of water that surrounded the entire secret room. Gift crab, Aaron growled in frustration. I didn't know that the water attribute magic circle could be used like this. The magic cost to maintain this circle must be enormous. Just end the battle before the mana is exhausted, Wilhelm replied nonchalantly. He then focused on the blurred figure soaked in rain. I found you. A crimson magic circle emerged, and ferocious flames shot out towards Aaron's figure. Damn! Aaron cursed under his breath, quickly brandishing his wand. The tip emitted a crimson light, and a violent flame burst forth, colliding with Wilhelm's attack. Although Aaron could also draw an intermediate-level magic circle, it required time. Using spells was quicker and more efficient. With the magic power of an intermediate-level magician, he believed he could handle a low-level magician. However, Aaron's confidence was quickly shattered. The flames released by Wilhelm gradually increased, overwhelming his spell and growing in power. This is impossible. You must have cheated, Aaron said incredulously. The magic power of a junior mage cannot possibly overwhelm me. Son, you don't know what is possible, Wilhelm replied. Intermediate magic circles may not be enough, but high-level magic circles are a different story. What do you think? Aaron blinked, suddenly understanding. He turned his head to look opposite. In the flickering flames, a red magic circle could be seen, with red runes forming on its outer ring, expanding into a high-level magic circle. Can he do that too? Aaron's eyes widened in disbelief. He had been proud of his ability to draw the ultimate magic circle at his age, but compared to this ancestor who claimed to be the #1 magic circle master, he felt like a novice. Of course, Wilhelm laughed. Didn't you see that? And don't overthink it. This was basic for me when I was a junior wizard. Aaron looked at the approaching flames, his face growing pale. A head-to-head confrontation was clearly not enough. Abe, do it, he commanded. The holy dragon immediately flew behind Wilhelm and unleashed a breath of fire. Feeling the intense heat behind him, Wilhelm's mouth curled into a slight smile. He dodged to one side just as the magic circle was completed. Boom! A violent explosion echoed through the room. Aaron struggled to block the impact, panting as he looked at Wilhelm's previous position. The flames evaporated the rainwater, making it difficult to see through the hazy vapor. Ancestor, are you okay? Aaron asked tentatively. Clap, clap, clap. The sound of applause came from one side, shattering Aaron's last hope. Yes, the timing was just right, Wilhelm said. No matter how good you are, it's useless if you can't hit your target, Aaron said disappointedly. No matter how powerful it is It doesn't make sense if it doesn't connect. Actually, I took advantage of it, Wilhelm admitted with some embarrassment. When I was your age, I couldn't escape this kind of attack. Even if I did, I would suffer serious injuries. Then how did you? Aaron began. Instinctive reaction, Wilhelm explained. I can suppress my strength, but the body's instincts are not something I can easily control. Aaron's mouth twitched. Ancestor, what did you do when you were alive? War, Wayhet said lightly. Yet Aaron felt the boundless killing intent behind those two simple words. It was as if a shadow of blood loomed behind this ancestor, a scene that could only be described as a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Aaron couldn't help but swallow hard and asked with a trembling voice, How long have you been fighting? More than 1,000 years have passed. I can't remember clearly. If you're really that curious, you can ask your father when he comes back. He can explain some things to you, Wayhet replied. It's really inexplicable, but you could explain it clearly. Aaron shook his head helplessly. Everyone likes to say half of what they mean. Wayhet laughed heartily at Aaron's words. It's for your own good that we don't let you know everything. Cherish your time now. The days to come will be particularly exciting, particularly fulfilling, and especially exciting. Aaron frowned, feeling an inexplicable heaviness, as if a burden had been placed on his shoulders. He wanted to ask more, but Wayhet interrupted him directly. Let's continue our competition. Aaron didn't object. They could talk later. Getting the magic book was the top priority now. He whispered a command, and Abe, his loyal companion, flew to his side, ready for battle. Ancestor, don't say we bullied you. You are too strong. The combined strength of the two of us might only pull the winning odds to 4 or 6. You 4, us 6, Aaron said, preparing for a protracted battle. His magic energy and Ab were his only advantages now. Neither his spells nor Abe's dragon's breath could stop Wayhet's elemental magic circle, but combined, they might stand a chance. Moreover, Wayhet's energy consumption was much higher than his. Wayhet had released several mid to high-level elemental magic circles in a row and had to maintain the water attribute magic circle on the ceiling. He probably had only 2/3 of his magic energy left at most. Your analysis is spot on. 1 on 2 is really difficult. Even if I can win, it will only be a narrow victory, Wayhet said, opening his hands as a blue-green magic circle slowly formed in front of him. Seeing this, Aaron was about to cast a spell to stop him, but the cry of a beast interrupted his movements. An ice dragon emerged from the magic circle, exactly the same size as Abe. It roared at the two of them and flew behind Wayhet. Water law, Aaron gasped, pointing at Wayhet angrily. Stop playing around. You are definitely cheating. Don't slander without evidence, Wayhet retorted. Are you kidding me? Do you think I don't know about transfiguration? Aaron shot back. Transfiguration? You may have misunderstood something. This is an advanced use of the ice attribute magic circle. It is somewhat similar to transfiguration, but it is not as good as the real thing. However, it can mimic appearances quite well, Wayhet explained. Aaron was speechless. He decided then and there that he must learn transfiguration to save his magic points. I used half my mana to create this ice dragon. It's definitely not as strong as the original, but it should be enough to hold off your pet. It doesn't take much time, just 1 minute, Wayhet said. Hearing this, Aaron's temper flared. If Wayhet thought he could finish him with less than 1/3 of his magic power within 1 minute, he was sorely mistaken. His face. It seems you have some tricks up your sleeve, Wayhet remarked, his voice tinged with amusement. Aaron's heart pounded as he felt the heat of the approaching flames. He knew he had to act quickly. With a swift motion, he raised his wand and chanted a spell. A shimmering barrier of light enveloped him, deflecting the flames just in time. Wayhet's eyes widened in surprise. Impressive, but how long can you keep this up? Aaron gritted his teeth, feeling the strain of maintaining the barrier. Long enough, he replied, determination burning in his eyes. Meanwhile, the battle between the Holy Dragon and the Ice Dragon raged on. Abe, the Holy Dragon, continued to dominate, its powerful claws and fiery breath relentlessly assaulting the Ice Dragon. Despite its deteriorating condition, the Ice Dragon fought back with unwavering tenacity, its shattered body refusing to yield. Aaron couldn't help but admire the Ice Dragon's resilience. Ancestor, your creation is truly remarkable, he admitted, his voice filled with genuine respect. Wayhet nodded, a hint of pride in his eyes. Indeed, but remember, it's not just about strength. Strategy and perseverance are equally important. As the flames around them intensified, Aaron knew he had to change his approach. He focused his energy, channeling it into a powerful spell. With a flick of his wand, he unleashed a torrent of water, dousing the flames and creating a thick mist that enveloped the room. Wayhet squinted through the haze, trying to locate Aaron. "Clever move," he muttered, his voice echoing in the mist. Taking advantage of the reduced visibility, Aaron moved swiftly, positioning himself behind Wayhet. He raised his wand, ready to strike. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady. Wayhet turned, a knowing smile on his face. "Indeed it does," he replied, raising his own wand. In a flash, both wizards unleashed their spells. The room erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy, the force of their magic colliding with a thunderous roar. For a moment, it seemed as if the very air around them would shatter. When the light finally faded, Aaron stood panting, his wand still raised. Wayhet, though visibly exhausted, remained standing as well. The room was silent, save for the crackling of residual magic. Wayhet lowered his wand, a look of genuine admiration on his face. "You have proven yourself, Aaron. You possess not only strength, but also the heart of a true wizard." Aaron lowered his wand, a sense of relief washing over him. "Thank you, ancestor," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. Wayhet nodded, a proud smile on his lips. "You have earned my respect, and with it, the knowledge you seek." As the two wizards stood amidst the remnants of their battle, a newfound understanding and respect blossomed between them. The competition had ended, but the journey of learning and growth had only just begun. Roar. Seeing the flames devouring his master, Ob's nimble eyes filled with anger. He fiercely stabbed out with the dragon's claw, tearing the ice dragon into pieces, and roared as he rushed towards Wayhet. A yellow-brown magic circle appeared instantly, and a dozen brown chains protruded from the ground, wrapping around Abe's body. He struggled violently, emitting white light from his body, and instantly shattered the chains. "Calm down. After all, he is my descendant. I will not harm him. Moreover, his physical fitness is extremely high, and his mastery of magic spells is quite rich." At the last moment, he should have applied a layer of protection to himself. At most, he would have a mild burn. Just go back and apply some magic medicine. Wayhet briefly appeased Abe, then looked at the mist and locked his eyes on the flames that had not been extinguished. "The outcome has been decided, and I won this time. Don't feel unconvinced. I could have attacked you a few times before your dragon arrived, but I didn't," Wayhet said. However, there was no sound coming from the mist. Wayhet frowned and released a strong wind with a wind attribute magic Iarkle, blowing everything in front of him clear. Sure enough, Aaron was not seen. However, there was a hazy figure slowly retreating in the rain, and it was obvious that it was someone's disillusionment spell. Wayhet patted his forehead, looked at the retreating figure, and sighed helplessly, stubbornly resisting. "I seriously suspect that you have a tendency to be masochistic. The gap in strength is already obvious." "Don't think too much about it, ancestor. I just want to survive for a minute," Aaron said lightly, his voice low in the air. Ob's ears moved, and he suddenly breathed out a dragon's breath at Wayhet. "It's useless." Wayhet shook his head and summoned an ice shield to block it. "Give you a few more years of growth, and you may have a chance to pose a little threat to me, but now there is no possibility." Swish! At that moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind Wayhet. Aaron was holding a long, silver sword, and the third black crystal on the hilt emitted a faint light as he slashed down horizontally. A crazy warning flashed in Wayhet's mind, and he instinctively raised his arms in haste, using an ice blade made of solid ice to block in front of him. The silver sword light flashed, the ice blade was split into two, and Wayhet was sent flying by the tyrannical force. This was the first time he was forced to retreat. Half of his sleeve fell to the ground, and a few drops of red blood dripped from his fingertips. But instead of feeling annoyed, he laughed heartily. "Your uncle, can this not work?" Aaron said with a depressed, wry smile. He had high hopes for this sneak attack, but the result was not satisfactory. "I don't have an uncle. Even if I did, you would have to call me ancestor. But to be honest, apparition is an advanced teleportation magic. You little guy are hiding deep enough. If the butler Jins found out, he would be ashamed and unable to lift his head. Wayhette sighed, then looked at the long sword in Aaron's hand. There is also the magic weapon made by Alger. If that kid knew that his sword could hurt my tail, he might be able to raise his head to the sky. Will you be injured in your current state? Aaron asked. No, I'm dead. This is just a simple visual effect, proving that you can indeed threaten me as a rudimentary mage. Wayhette smiled lightly and shook his head. I admit that I have underestimated you a little. The long absence made me feel a little dangerous. In this kind of competition, if you are fair one-on-one, you will die, but I may also be seriously injured. Aaron, Nima, is this what people say? Then should I feel honored? Aaron rolled his eyes, speechless in his heart. He has always been regarded as the hope of the Gaius family for 100 years, but in the end, he fought with a wizard who was one level lower than himself. Wyatt had only managed to severely injure his opponent, which left him feeling deeply embarrassed. Yes, Wyatt nodded without hesitation. If your father knew you could hurt me, he would probably cry with joy. He might even throw a banquet for 7 days and 7 nights. What are you talking about? Aaron asked, incredulous. I'm not joking, Wyatt replied. I was able to defeat a junior magister when I was just a junior magister myself. Whether in life or after death, if the strength difference isn't significant, I can't hurt more than 10 people. Among all your teachers, I am the pinnacle of combat power. No one can defeat me one-on-one, except for Flo, who can occasionally take advantage of spiritual magic. Aaron's Adam's apple bobbed as he listened, his expression shifting from stunned to excited. Our unworthy descendants may indeed be inferior to you, but you still have to give me that magic book today. So confident? Wyatt smiled meaningfully. It's not confidence, it's a fact. I can apparate, and I have a dragon, so I have a certain amount of initiative. And if I'm not mistaken, your magic energy is almost depleted, with only 1/5 remaining. Even you, with such a large consumption of mana and only able to use the elemental magic circle, don't have much chance of winning. Is that so? But things may not be as you guessed, Wayhette said, pointing upwards. The blue magic circle on the ceiling vanished instantly, and his own magic energy stabilized. Now the magic power is barely enough. So what? We still have a great chance of winning. Let's decide the outcome with one move, Wayhette said impatiently. Also, your bad habit of overestimating yourself really needs to change. I'll think about it after I defeat you, Aaron retorted. He jumped onto Ab's back, and with a flap of the dragon's white wings, they rose slowly. The purple advanced magic circle and the crimson dragon's breath were ready to be unleashed. Just as they were about to claim victory, they were shocked to find 6 purple magic circles neatly arranged around them. A cube surrounded them, with purple arcs appearing and disappearing intermittently. The sight left Aaron at a loss, and he carefully withdrew the magic he was about to release. This is my last strength. If you can avoid it, you will win, Wayhette said, taking out the magic book. His voice was full of temptation. Would you like to give it a try and see if your apparition is faster than my lightning? Aaron hesitated, but then smiled awkwardly. Hey, those who know the current situation are wise. He decisively threw down his wand and long sword. Actually, there's a second half to that saying. Wealth and fortune are sought in danger, but also lost in danger. 1 out of 10 is sought, and 9 out of 10 is lost. So, I surrender. Losing to the famous Wayhette Gaius is not disgraceful. Besides, I still managed to injure and make him bleed, which is an honor no matter what. Wayhette looked at him in surprise, his face twitching uncontrollably. To be honest, he had expected Aaron to surrender, but the skillful and natural way Aaron did it caught him off guard. Chapter 214, Soliciting an Insignificant Suggestion. Aaron was so sensible that Wayhette couldn't find a reason to embarrass him, so he withdrew the 6 thunder attribute magic circles with a wave of his hand. Both Aaron and the dragon fell to the ground, breathing a sigh of relief. Now I understand the elemental magic circle is not that weak, Wayhette said, putting away the magic book in front of Aaron. You think you can reach the sky just because I gave you a ladder? Who do you think you are? Ancestor, you never taught me that the magic circle could be used like this, Aaron replied, looking at Wayhette resentfully. His voice was full of dissatisfaction. If he had known this, he might have won. Wayhett took a deep look at him, but did not speak. Instead, he raised his right hand above his head. 7 high-level magic arrays of different attributes, red, green, purple, blue, yellow, black, and white, lined up in a row, exuding a power not weaker than the ultimate magic array. "My Merlin!" Aaron exclaimed, dumbfounded, standing there in a daze. The holy dragon, now the size of a cat, trembled beside him. It had actually yelled at the boss just now, and even spat a few dragon breaths at him without knowing what to do. Although it had a longer lifespan than the Dragon King, living a long life did not include dying prematurely. Humph! Wayhett snorted coldly in disdain and casually withdrew the 7 magic circles. I really don't understand where this messy exclamation comes from in the current magic world. Even if Merlin saw me, he would have to call me senior. "Do you know Merlin?" Aaron asked, astonished. "I do not, but I hadn't heard of him when I was alive, so isn't he considered a junior?" Wayhett replied. "That makes sense. I'm speechless," Aaron muttered. "That's it for the first lesson. You arrange the courses for this semester by yourself. There is only one task, to master the instant casting of the intermediate magic circle. As for the advanced magic circle, do your best," Wayhett instructed. Naturally, Aaron would not refuse this arrangement, which was much easier than last semester. He felt confident. It might be difficult for one person, but with the resources at Hogwarts, the combination of 2 people would definitely yield twice the result with half the effort. Aaron picked up his wand subconsciously, then thought of Wayhett's use of the magic circle. After hesitating for a moment, he put away his wand and directly used his mental power to draw the magic circle. Purple runes slowly appeared in front of him. Casting spells without a wand? Wayhett raised his eyebrows. "I thought you were just not proficient in this skill. It seems I was wrong. The wand is no longer necessary for you. You seem to have a lot of things to hide from us, but it's a good thing. It's always necessary to hide your clumsiness when needed." Aaron rolled his eyes, speechless. "I'm sure you guys are hiding a lot more from me." "It can't be kept secret for long," Wayhett said, looking at Aaron with some confusion. "The Gaius family has many secrets, but these secrets are revealed to the next generation at a certain time. It's been that way for thousands of years, like the family sanctuary and the existence of us. So, how close do you think you are to touching the real secret?" Aaron paused for a moment, feeling a sense of malice from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. The magic circle he was about to complete shattered instantly, and the resulting explosion of thunder and lightning knocked him out. Ab immediately ran to Aaron, wanting to check if he was injured. "It's okay," Aaron said, standing up slowly. He looked at Wayhett with a serious expression. "Ancestor, you are from the past. Tell me the truth. What do you know?" "I signed a contract," Wayhett replied with a vague smile, believing that this junior understood what he meant. Aaron, "Beautiful. What an omnipotent reason. In the future, when I don't want to answer questions, I will also refuse in the same way." "It seems that we have to wait for my father and mother to come back, right?" Aaron asked. "Smart," Wayhett acknowledged. Aaron sighed deeply. "I knew this day would come, but I'm only 13 years old. I'm not ready for this. It's inappropriate for an underage wizard like me to deal with various forces," Wayhett sneered. "Such temptations are meaningless. What you play is what we play." Aaron shook his head helplessly. It was clear that older, experienced individuals were not easily fooled, and it was challenging to fabricate convincing words. "To change the question, is there still time for me to run away?" Aaron asked seriously. "What do you think?" Wilhelm responded. "Probably. A 90% chance of dying," Aaron said, lowering his head in disappointment, a bitter smile forming at the corner of his mouth. This ancestor knew his abilities, including the disillusionment charm and apparition. Since Wilhelm believed these magics wouldn't help, it meant there was no possibility of escape. "I suddenly feel that things have become a little more interesting," Aaron mused. "It's indeed interesting," Wayhett replied, his face emotionless but with a spark of excitement in his eyes. "Can you give me some advice?" Aaron asked sincerely. "Don't feel embarrassed. I just want a bit of experience." Wilhelm frowned, then looked at Aaron with satisfaction. "You are more interesting than I thought. Some heirs of the Gaius family, like you, learn things in advance. They either got too excited and eager to delve into these secrets, locked themselves in the wine cellar to calm down after getting drunk, or maintained the status quo until the truth came out. "What about you, ancestor?" Aaron inquired. "Me?" Whitehead touched his nose, embarrassed. "Sometimes ignorance can be a blessing." Aaron blinked and silently gave Whitehead a thumbs up in his mind. There was a reason this ancestor was powerful. He had definitely added emotional intelligence to his combat effectiveness. "I have only one suggestion," Whitehead said solemnly. Aaron immediately focused, pretending to listen intently. "What is it?" "Make yourself strong enough," Whitehead advised. "So practice what I teach you. It will help." Aaron's mouth twitched. Did that really need to be said? Although he felt this was obvious, he knew he had to follow this advice. Strength was fundamental, no matter the situation. In the following days, Aaron practiced even harder, pushing himself to drain every drop of magical energy in his body. He also communicated with his thought body, spending half of his time each day researching and releasing multiple magic circles simultaneously. This skill was challenging, but if he mastered it, he would be confident in taking on multiple opponents at once. More than an hour later, Whitehead looked at the exhausted Aaron, smiling and nodding. "It's time for your next class." Aaron stretched, loosening his muscles as much as possible, and then slowly walked towards the door that had opened at some point. "It's time for me to ask another teacher for some advice, too." Whitehead froze for a moment, repeating Aaron's words in his mind. It took him a while to come back to his senses. "Based on your words, you are definitely much more relaxed than us." Aaron shrugged, not understanding why such a basic operation was surprising. Entering the third classroom, Jins was waiting for him with a smile. Aaron briefly scanned the secret room, quickly walked to the black stone pillar, and placed his right hand on it. As the figure appeared, Aaron rushed towards the opponent's right leg without hesitation. But the other party seemed to have anticipated this move and kicked him in the chest while turning sideways. "Oops. Master, what are you doing?" Aaron asked, wincing in pain. "Shut up and get out," Aaron said bluntly. Jins looked at Flo hesitantly. Seeing him nod slightly, he couldn't raise any objections. After Jins left, Flo looked at Aaron meaningfully. "It seems that someone said something to you? Was it Alger or Wilhelm?" "No, I figured it out myself," Aaron replied honestly. He knew better, and to lie in front of Flo Gaius, a master of psychology whose spiritual magic even made Whitehead somewhat wary. "That's honest," Flo smiled, though his eyes suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. "But I don't think you believe that yourself." "I know my limits. I wouldn't lie to you unless I was out of my mind," Aaron admitted. Flo nodded, folding his hands across his chest. "So, what made you want to seek advice this time?" "I need some guidance," Aaron said seriously. Flo's mouth curved into a slight smile. "Not many people realize that." "Well, now there's one more," Aaron said, meeting Flo's gaze. Flo gave Aaron an appreciative look, then picked up Abe and sat lazily on a chair. "In fact, the advice you seek has been passed down through our ancestral teachings. It's invaluable experience. If I must give you advice, it's this: don't speculate on other people's minds." Aaron pondered for a moment. "Is there anything else?" "No," Flo said with a hint of amusement. "We who have been through the hardships like to make it tough for the next generation. That's the only advice I'll give you, and the others will probably do the same." "Come on, there are more than 20 people." Aaron gritted his teeth. "Even if each person says one sentence, I should be able to piece something together." "You need to work on your self-awareness," Flo remarked. "This is just self-comfort," Aaron muttered, his face darkening. "What do I need to do next?" "You can do whatever you want. You have half an hour of free time. By the way, let me share some good news. The most difficult tutoring period for you was last year. From this year onwards, your study time will be relatively less." "How long do I have to study?" Aaron asked, hopeful. "Live and learn," Flo said, pretending to be profound. "Of course, there are no absolutes. There are 2 ways to avoid studying. The first is to become the head of the family. The head of the Gaius family has great authority. As long as it doesn't violate the ancestral precepts, he can do anything within the rules, including skipping classes. The second is to get married and have children. The Gaius family places more importance on the next generation than any other family in the magical world." Aaron felt a pang in his heart. Grasnima, I have to walk these two paths for at least several years. Is there any other way? He asked, desperate. Yes, Flo nodded affirmatively. When can students skip class? Aaron seemed to understand, a bitter smile forming on his lips. When they're better than the teacher. That's right. When we can't teach you anymore, you won't have to attend class, Flo confirmed. Chapter 215, Ammunition Depot, Muggle Wand. Compared to last year, Aaron's summer vacation this year was much more relaxed. The teacher was no longer strict, and the schedule was looser, allowing Aaron to spare 2 or 3 hours a day to wander around Diagon Alley. It took him 6 days to get used to the new tutoring routine, until Jins brought him to the armory on the 7th day. I'm ready, Aaron said confidently as he warmed up. What's today's after-dinner exercise? Earthquake, tsunami, volcanic eruption, or high-altitude freefall? None of those, Jins replied, shaking his head lightly. He took out a gray key engraved with the number 3. Experiencing the second stage once or twice is enough. If you get too used to it, it might not be beneficial. Aaron raised an eyebrow, looking thoughtfully at the 3rd key in Jins's hand. So, I'm entering the 3rd stage? Of course, Jins confirmed, inserting the key into a lock in the wall. With a click, the entire secret room underwent a dramatic transformation. The space expanded more than tenfold, the ceiling turned into a blue sky with white clouds, and the ground became a lush lawn. Most importantly, all the weapons on the shelves changed. Bows, hammers, armors, swords, and spears disappeared, replaced by a variety of modern firearms. Pistols, rifles, sniper rifles, grenades, bazookas, and more. Gulp! Aaron swallowed hard, staring blankly at the modern weapons, speechless with astonishment. This arsenal was definitely worthy of its name, but could their wizarding family, with its 1,000-year history, actually use these? I believe the young master has some understanding of these weapons, but understanding is one thing, using them is another, Jin said patiently. I get that, but does this really make sense? Aaron asked, still in disbelief. Of course it makes sense, Jins replied. These weapons are like Muggle wands. Although they have a single function, they are capable of taking a wizard's life. For that reason alone, you must learn to use them, young master. Aaron curled his lips. In his opinion, there wasn't much difference between practicing with a sword and practicing with a gun. He picked up a revolver from the rack, flipped it open, and saw it was loaded with 6 rounds. It's quite new. This is a newly replenished product from last year, Jin said with some pride. A batch specially customized by Gaius Industry. Boom. Aaron accidentally pulled the trigger. Don't tell me that Gaius also produces munitions. A company established almost a century ago, Gaius can be considered an old-fashioned arms dealer. However, your great-grandfather's purpose in developing the military industry was simply to ensure the Gaius family didn't fall behind the times. He didn't pay much attention to it, but it still ranks among the top in the world. The corner of Aaron's mouth twitched violently. He knew the Gaius family had a lot of property, but he never expected them to be involved in this kind of business, and it seemed to be flourishing. My great-grandfather was really cunning. No, far-sighted, Aaron sighed. His decision back then gave us 3 generations of grandparents and grandchildren extra training in the 3rd stage. To be precise, it was 2 generations of father and son. At that time, the old patriarch was already an adult, and his involvement with these guns and ammunition wasn't significant. In fact, the young master is at an advantage. At least your training conditions are much better than those of the master. But I don't think so, Aaron retorted, giving Jins a hard look. At least I have to learn more than Vico, and it's also more difficult. You don't need to be so serious, Jins teased. Master, you are a wizard after all. You just need to know how to use these weapons. You don't need to be as proficient as a professional soldier. Huh. I can barely accept that, but can you tell me why you've lowered your requirements? Because the Muggle world is developing rapidly, Jins began to explain. And weapons are being updated very quickly. And young master, you are a wizard, and magic is the path you are destined to take. There is no need to straw excellence in Muggle weapons. They are eliminated very quickly, and there will be no qualitative breakthrough in a short period of time. It is enough to understand the specific operation. I see, Aaron nodded thoughtfully, expressing his understanding. Jins took out his wand, waved it with one hand, and a row of targets appeared on the grass in front of him. They are 10 meters, 20 meters, and 50 meters away. After that, there will be a new target every 100 meters. The range of various guns is within these distances. If you get tired of playing, you can change it to a moving target. There is an instruction manual under each weapon, so the young master can practice by himself. As for the bullets, Jins glanced at the 3 ammunition boxes stacked next to each shelf. Create whatever you want, and you can restock any time after you finish shooting. Aaron felt a lot of pressure at this moment. He was somewhat interested in these weapons, but there were too many things to learn. Fortunately, the requirements for this course were not high, otherwise he wouldn't be able to graduate in a year or so. Uncle Jins, you have experience. Did my father have any tricks when he was training? Yes, Jins nodded seriously. Aaron immediately beamed with joy and couldn't contain his excitement. He had asked casually, without much hope, but he didn't expect it to be rewarding. Why didn't you say such important information earlier? You didn't ask either, Jins secretly complained in his heart, but he knew he couldn't say that. After all, his young master was not someone to be trifled with and might write it down in his notebook. I just wanted to tell you, Jins puffed out his chest, acting righteously. Aaron took a deep look at him, always feeling that something was off. What's the trick? Master, do you try injecting magic power? When Aaron heard this, he immediately became interested. Could it be that this is also a magic weapon? He did so immediately, and with the input of mana, a light white magic circle appeared on the barrel of the revolver. As a gun holder, he immediately understood that this magic circle could adjust the angle of bullet firing, increasing the hit rate by at least 20%. My dear, Aaron couldn't help but sigh. I love magic to death. However, with so many guns and ammunition, it is a luxury to change a batch every 6 months. It's not that troublesome, Jins explained. This is just the simplest enchantment, and it can be done in a day with a few professional wizards. It happens that Gaius industry has cultivated talents in this area. Aaron also felt that his question seemed a little stupid. This consumption was not even a drop in the bucket for Gaius, who had a big family and a big business. Is there any other function besides improving accuracy? It can also increase the power, Jins pointed to a bazooka and said solemnly. If a wizard uses it, it can increase the destructive power by at least 30%. 30%? Although Aaron was a little surprised, he was not very satisfied with the number. Just 30%? This is not too low, Jin said speechlessly. First of all, these are just ordinary materials, and they can only be enchanted once, either to increase the power or increase the accuracy. Secondly, these weapons are only prepared for your own training, young master. Except for a few wizards who make a living in the Muggle world, almost no one will order enchanted guns. Again, Muggles cannot activate the formation above without magic power. For them, these weapons have no special features, and it does not help the export of products from Gaius industry. The most important thing is that weapons also need to be maintained, and the same is true for enchanting magic circles. The potential benefits of investing in research in this area are immense. However, if Lord Whitehead were to get involved, the situation would be entirely different, Aaron remarked with a contemptuous smile. It's a nice thought, but Wilhelm won't waste his time on Muggle weapons. Unless it's an artifact, it's wishful thinking to expect his help. Aaron sighed. I suppose I'll have to learn the magic of enchanting. With my talent, I should be able to increase the accuracy or power by 10 to 20%. He shrugged, picked up the revolver, and fired 5 shots at a target 10 meters away. Thanks to his physical fitness, which far surpassed that of ordinary people, he aimed and shot in one fluid motion. All 5 shots hit the bullseye, scoring 50 rings. A slight smile played on Aaron's lips, but it quickly faded as he heard a voice beside him. The young master has a good shooting talent, but the third stage is not so simple. A good gunslinger is fed bullets, and a terrible gunslinger is fed guns, Jin said, placing a stack of bullet boxes and various pistols in front of him. Try every weapon. I've set a small target for you, young master. Each type of gun must finish a magazine, and the accuracy rate for the 10-meter target cannot be lower than 50%. Aaron glanced at the mountain of guns and forced a smile. There were at least 100 types of guns, and he needed to fire about 1,000 rounds in one session. Are you trying to tire me out? This subordinate wouldn't dare, Jins replied, skillfully taking out a bottle of scion potion. This is specially prepared for you, Lord Lanta. Just rub a little to relieve fatigue. Aaron sighed. It's really thoughtful. This is what subordinates should do, Jins responded. Aaron rolled his eyes, tossed the revolver aside, and picked up another pistol. The sound of gunfire echoed for over 2 hours. Each time Aaron emptied a magazine, Jins handed him a new pistol, and the target, which reset itself no matter how many times it was hit, made him feel like he was in an endless loop. Rant's potion was effective. Aaron's arms and fingers didn't feel the slightest fatigue. However, the mental exhaustion couldn't be easily alleviated by the potion. Moreover, using the magic weapon intermittently for over 2 hours drained his magical energy, leaving him, a mid-level mage, feeling overwhelmed. After discarding the last pistol, Aaron looked at the dense pile of bullet casings at his feet and collapsed powerlessly on the lawn. It's over. The accuracy rate is about 80%, Jins noted in his small notebook. Congratulations, young master. You barely passed the pistol part. Aaron turned his face away angrily. Stop being sarcastic. Try firing a gun for over 2 hours straight. You'd be bored to death if not exhausted. And it's my first time using a gun, so it's not bad to have this result. Master, this is a bit self-deprecating, Jin said with some dissatisfaction. I still remember your performance in Ollivander's wand shop 2 years ago. All the wands showed surrender to you, a mere muggle wand. Get lost. Aaron grabbed a handful of bullet casings and threw them at Jins. Calling it a muggle's wand, do you think it's a magic wand with an enchantment? I'm 13 years old. Don't take me for a fool. Chapter 216, The First Sword. Half a month later, Aaron's first sword was finally completed. The ceremony was attended by 2 great magisters, and a white holy dragon circled and roared around the fire, adding a touch of grandeur to its birth. Clang! Aaron pulled the blue glowing short sword from the flames and examined his work with satisfaction. Not bad, but it still lacks a name. How about Dragon Slayer? Jins suggested. Abe glared at him, feeling a strong sense of malice from the name. Daydreaming. This name is a little better than the previous one, but I don't like it very much. Aaron frowned. It seems you're not very good at naming things, Ancestor. I mean, you are daydreaming. Alger rolled his eyes. First of all, this sword doesn't really exist. It was constructed in my memory space. Second, wait a moment, Ancestor. Aaron interrupted, waving his hand. At least I made it with my own hands. Let me enjoy it before you tell me this sad fact. Alger sneered, and with a flick of his hand, a long silver sword flew into his grasp. He walked up to Aaron, and without a word, struck down with his sword. Boom! After a crisp sound, half of Aaron's blade fell to the ground. He looked at the broken sword in his hand, feeling very uncomfortable. It was his first creation, and it was disheartening to see it destroyed so quickly. Secondly, the quality of this sword is mediocre and doesn't deserve a name. Aaron let out a long sigh and threw the broken sword into the furnace. Ancestor, you are really so good at hitting people. As the sole heir of the Gaius family, you need to recognize reality. The reality is that you smashed the weapon I made of broken copper and rotten iron with a magic weapon? Aaron's eyes were full of resentment. If you really wanted to teach me a lesson, couldn't you have given me some rare sword-making materials to start with? This is really not good, Alger said, somewhat embarrassed. You are a novice, after all. Do you still know that I'm a novice? Aaron's aura intensified. What's the difference between what you did just now and an emperor bullying civilians? Alger's face turned red, and he winked at Jins quietly. Hurry up and find me a way out. The housekeeper, who had been watching the show, smiled awkwardly. Master, after all, Master Alger is someone who has experienced it, so there must be some special meaning behind his actions. Yes, Alger immediately straightened his back and gave Jins an appreciative look. I didn't expect you to be quite knowledgeable. Not at all. Jins wiped the sweat from his forehead guiltily. This was all experience. After all, he had been a housekeeper for many years and knew the skills of laying steps. Really? Aaron was dubious. Is there any special meaning? If you don't make it clear, I'll feel like you're fooling me. Alger was silent for a moment under Aaron's mocking gaze, then said in a deep voice, "No matter how much energy you put into garbage, it can't change its essence." Aaron froze for a moment, then turned his head to look at the half-cut sword slowly sinking in the furnace, as if trying to understand something. After pondering for a moment, he bent down and threw the front half of the sword tip into the fire. "Father, I apologize to you, but my heart is not so fragile. You can tell me directly." Alger was stunned for a moment, unable to believe that he had just been fooled. "Cough! Cough!" Jins coughed, bringing Alger back to his senses. He pretended to be an expert. "I'm afraid you wouldn't remember if I told you directly." Aaron nodded, reluctantly agreeing. Using the first work of his life as a sacrifice to the sky was definitely a deep impression, one he would never forget. "So what should I do next?" Aaron asked. "Build a second weapon." "Not for the time being," Alger said thoughtfully. "Think on Aaron for a moment before he continued. "This year, you will learn to pilot an aircraft. It's a skill that requires precision, patience, and a deep understanding of mech and ICS. These are qualities that will serve you well in your future endeavors, even in the realm of magic." Aaron's eyes widened in surprise. "An aircraft? But isn't that a bit excessive?" Gesta shook his head. "Not at all. The principles of flight and the technology behind it are fascinating and complex. Understanding them will broaden your perspective and enhance your problem-solving skills. Plus, it's a lot of fun." Jins, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up. "Master Gesta, I must admit, this is an intriguing idea. It might indeed be beneficial for the young master to learn something so different from his usual studies." Aaron nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. "All right, I'll give it a try. When do we start?" Gesta smiled, a glint of mischief in his eyes. "Right now. Follow me, and I'll introduce you to your new instructor." As they left the secret room, Aaron couldn't help feel a sense of anticipation. Learning to pilot an aircraft was certainly not what he had expected, but he was eager to embrace the challenge. Meanwhile, back in the forge, Alger and Jins continued their conversation. "Master Alger, do you really think the young master will be able to forge a divine weapon one day?" Jins asked, his tone filled with curiosity. Alger nodded thoughtfully. "I do. He has the potential, but he needs to understand that the path to greatness is paved with failures and lessons. Each mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve. That's why I was so hard on him about that sword. He needs to strive for perfection, even in the smallest details." Jin sighed. "I suppose you're right. It's just hard to see him struggle." "Struggle is part of the journey," Alger replied. "And with our guidance, he'll become a master in his own right." In a spacious hangar, Aaron and Jins stood before a sleek, modern aircraft. A tall, confident woman with aviator sunglasses approached them. "Welcome, Aaron. I'm Captain Elena, and I'll be your instructor for this course. Are you ready to take to the skies?" Aaron took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, Captain. I'm ready." Captain Elena smiled. "Good. Let's get started." As Aaron climbed into the cockpit, he felt a surge of excitement. This was a new adventure, a new challenge, and he was determined to master it. With the support of his mentors and the lessons he had learned, he knew he could achieve anything he set his mind to. And so, with the roar of the engine and the thrill of the unknown ahead, Aaron's journey into the world of aviation began. Gesta stared at Jins for a few seconds before turning his attention to Aaron. "He should have taught you how to use Muggle weapons." "Does it matter?" Aaron asked, puzzled. "It has a lot to do with it," Gesta replied. "This time, we will learn something different." As soon as he finished speaking, the secret room transformed into a vast plain. Tanks, armored vehicles, helicopters, and fighter jets were lined up in neat rows. Aaron gasped and instinctively took a step back. Jins wasn't faring much better. He had thought the third stage of training for the young master was already outrageous, but this was on another level entirely. "Don't tell me you don't know," Aaron said, looking at Jin's surprised expression in disbelief. "I only knew this course involved driving, but I didn't know much beyond that," Jins admitted nervously. "When the master came here, he only learned how to ride a horse and drive a car. He never encountered these things." "That's because those two things were enough for him," Gesta laughed. "But his son is very talented and qualified to handle more." Aaron's mouth twitched slightly. He had lost count of how many times he felt overwhelmed by his so-called talent, but magic talent seemed irrelevant to these weapons. "Would you like to try it?" Jesta asked persuasively. "This is a man's romance." "Heh, can I say no?" Aaron replied skeptically. "Of course, you have the right. After all, you may never use these things for the rest of your life." Aaron sighed in relief. "Forget it then. Think about it. I don't need you to be proficient, just to understand the principles and basic controls. Come on, I know my limits. These things are much more complicated than cars," Aaron said. "And I'm a wizard. Even in a war, I wouldn't need these things. With enough time, I could destroy a city on my own." Gesta laughed heartily and patted Aaron on the shoulder. "To be honest, I understand you very well. I wouldn't waste time on this course either. But Aaron, your understanding limits your imagination. I am your ancestor. Your relatives in this world know what I have experienced in the past. If they thought these things were meaningless to you, do you think you would still see them? So, tell me, will you learn or not?" Aaron was silent for a moment, then slowly nodded. "I'll learn." "Speak up," Jesta commanded, pointing at the row of vehicles. "Like a soldier, speak up." "I'll learn," Aaron said more firmly. "Very good. I feel your determination," Jesta said with satisfaction. He then turned to Jins, who looked a bit dumbfounded. "What are you still doing here? Don't you know that idlers are not allowed in my classroom?" Chapter 217, Two Escapes After Careful Consideration. From late night to early morning, Aaron tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. Since he had learned more advanced driving skills, those stern-faced and dark-hearted ancestors had made an exception and granted him a week's vacation. Even Jins, the conscientious housekeeper who had watched him grow up, didn't raise any objections and took care of him with more dedication than usual. All of this could be described in 4 words. All hardships come to an end. After taking classes and attending cram schools for 2 consecutive years, Aaron Gaius finally made it through and was enjoying a real summer vacation. But the good days came too suddenly, making him feel a little unrealistic. Reminiscent of his parents coming home soon, he immediately realized that this was definitely not the end of all hardships, but rather the last humor of a doctor to a patient with terminal cancer. Eat whatever you want. Aaron was drumming in his heart, but he didn't show it on the surface. Instead, he pretended to be an excited 13-year-old as much as possible. After pretending for 6 consecutive days, he admitted that he didn't reveal a single flaw. But now, with less than 12 hours left before Vico and Lasana returned home, he had to make an important decision: run away from home. Although Ancestor Wayhet was not optimistic about this second escape, Aaron was really unwilling to not give it a try. Originally, he didn't want to do this either, because it seemed that heirs of all generations had to go through it. In other words, it was a fate he couldn't escape. But the anomalies of the ancestors and the housekeeper in the past few days made him feel a little more fear for no reason, fear of the unknown. He wasn't ready yet, so he could only try to escape first. Aaron looked at the 3 a.m. displayed on the alarm clock, took several deep breaths, and sat up from the bed. "Abe, wake up!" A cute white head poked out from under the quilt, followed by 2 white paws and a pair of white wings with a hint of blue. The original galleons, sickles, and nuts were all put away by me. Other than that, how much did you raise? Abe flew into the air and opened his pocket with 2 paws. Whoa! A rain of gold coins fell on the bedside, forming a small pile, roughly estimated to be more than 200 coins. These were genuine gold coins, and their value was much higher than that of galleons. It could be said that they could live comfortably for a long time with this kind of wealth. Why so much? Aaron looked at the dragon cub in confusion, wondering if it had changed its nature. Since he had succeeded in running away last time, the warehouse had been strictly guarded by djinns, who had cast a layer of magic to guard against them like thieves. You could go in if you wanted to, and you could get things if you wanted to, but the housekeeper needed to know. When they came back from Hogwarts, they didn't bring much money, and running away was inseparable from funds. After careful consideration, Aaron simply gritted his teeth and stomped his feet, secretly taking the key to the vault on a dark and stormy night and hanging it around Abe's neck. Logically speaking, Given how much dragons love gold, it was impossible to stop with just 200 pieces. It couldn't stop without a small mountain of gold. Abe poked his paw aggrievedly. It's easy to be discovered if you take too much, and the housekeeper will be very angry. Aaron laughed angrily. He was sure that moving more gold coins was nothing compared to running away twice. Forget it, this fund is much more sufficient than last year, Aaron said helplessly, then looked at Abe with a serious face. You also know my next plan, and I understand that you will never leave me, but this time the consequences may be a little serious. Not only Jins, but also Vico and the others will be very angry. So the master decided not to take me? Abe was extremely excited, looking at Aaron with big, piercing eyes, eagerly hoping that he would give an affirmative apar, and swore, even if it was. Aaron's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't expect the dragon cub he had raised to be so disapproving of this operation. Of course not, Aaron said, giving Abe a contemptuous look. I mean, you have to cooperate with me and hide your magical animal features well. This time, we have no backpacks, no tents, and nothing but funds. If you are accidentally exposed, then there is no need to proceed. Abe nodded in disappointment. It seemed he had to get on this broken ship that could sink at any time. It's almost time. Let's go down to eat, Aaron said, feeling a bit weary. Remember, what happened yesterday is the same as today, and you must not starve to death and reincarnate. Abe scratched his head, a little at a loss. It wasn't that he didn't want to comply, but he had let himself go for a few days and was reincarnated as a starving ghost every day. Master, I really can't do it. I was like that yesterday, Abe exclaimed. Aaron patted his forehead, looked at Abe's big tear-filled eyes, and waved his hands helplessly. It's up to you. The two of them arrived at the restaurant, where Jins was waiting for them with a smile on his face. Behind him was a house elf pushing a large dining cart. The young master is very punctual, which is a good habit, Jins remarked. Aaron wasn't in the mood to listen to these pleasantries and yawned out of boredom. When will my parents come back? The owner said it would be in the afternoon. I know it's the afternoon, but can you be more specific? Aaron asked, exasperated. This was related to his plan to escape, so he needed precise information. If nothing else, around 4 o'clock. Is that so? There is still time. It seems I have to go to Diagon Alley soon, Aaron said. Jins's heart skipped a beat, and he asked nervously, Master, what are you doing in Diagon Alley? Cut! I know what you're worried about, but I won't run away this time, Aaron said confidently. I'm going to prepare a gift for them. I haven't seen them for almost a year. You have to show your filial piety. You can follow me anytime, anywhere, so you can rest assured. Relieved, Jins immediately ordered the house elf to serve the food. Although he felt it was a bit inappropriate, he was confident that the young master couldn't escape under the eyes of a great magister. As soon as the dishes were served, Abe jumped onto the dining table, impatiently pouncing on a big piece of meat and eyeing the other plates while he gnawed. Except for a few dishes that Aaron liked, Abe didn't intend to waste the rest. After all, after this meal, the next one might not be so rich. Aaron looked helplessly at his pet, who was eating and drinking voraciously. While eating, he also felt a bit of a headache. With Abe's appetite, a meal would cost 1 gold coin if it was delicious and plentiful. It was estimated that running away from home this time would take a month, and Abe's food expenses would account for half of the budget. In addition, there were countless other expenses, and the remaining half of the gold coins for food, clothing, housing, and transportation would probably be barely enough. After breakfast, Aaron took Abe and arrived at a small shop in Diagon Alley via flue powder. Jins naturally followed every step, confident that he wouldn't fall twice in the same place. Aaron pretended to be wandering the streets, but his eyes were picking the right route. Uncle Jins, Hogwarts will be offering a divination class this semester, so I need books on prophecy and corresponding magical tools. Your subordinate understands, Jins nodded with a smile. Picking through the fog to see the future is on your book list, and I will also prepare a beautiful crystal ball for you. In addition to the divination class, there are also Monsters Book of Monsters, Intermediate Transfiguration, Standard Spell Level 1, and so on. You can rest assured, young master, I have already prepared these things. That's good, Aaron said with satisfaction, feeling a bit more relaxed. Those ancestors were usually tight-lipped. When it came to the secrets he wanted to uncover, they all looked at him with gloating expressions but remained silent, which made him anxious. However, Jin's was easier to deceive. Since he had prepared the textbooks for the next semester in advance, it indicated that the secrets he was about to encounter wouldn't be extremely dangerous. Although they might be filled with malice, at least he could return to class safely, which was very reassuring. By the way, the Gaius family has produced numerous talents over thousands of years. Isn't there anyone proficient in divination? Aaron asked. Jin's thought for a moment before replying, I can only tell you that there is such a person, and their prediction accuracy rate is as high as 90%. But as for the specifics, I signed a contract, but you'll find out soon. Aaron sighed internally. Why is it always a contract? What an omnipotent, perfunctory, but impeccable reason. Thinking of the good news he had just received, Aaron suppressed his frustration and continued walking until he saw a tall, white building. Gringotts? Jin's raised an eyebrow. Master, with all due respect, you don't need to spend money on preparing gifts for the patriarch and madam. A book, a bouquet of flowers, or a piece of clothing would suffice. The Gaius family really doesn't lack anything, especially not money. I know, but it's my business. It is more meaningful to buy a more precious gift for my parents with the money I earn myself, Aaron said, weighing his pockets. He gave Abe a knowing look as he walked towards Gringotts. Abe nodded solemnly, his eyes full of determination. The moment Aaron and Jin stepped over the threshold of Gringotts, Abe jumped out of Aaron's arms, ran straight into a deep alley, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Abe! Aaron shouted urgently, following closely behind. Oh no! Wait, Master! Jin's called out, immediately following. He was genuinely anxious because the alley Abe had jumped into was Nocturne Alley, a place where at least 8 out of 10 people were dark wizards. Many outlaws frequented the area, and they might not respect the Gaius family. With the young master's current strength, he could barely protect himself, and although there were 2 guardians following him secretly, there was always a risk of something going wrong. If the young master got injured, it would be entirely Jin's responsibility. He would face severe consequences from the master and madam. No, he must teach Abe a profound lesson when they returned, at least by starving him for 3 days. Why did Abe have to run now, of all times, right at the entrance of Nocturne Alley? And the young master, having opened a store in Diagon Alley for several years, should know how dangerous Nocturne Alley is. As these thoughts raced through his mind, Jin suddenly realized something. His footsteps slowed down unconsciously, and his expression became quite complex. Could it be? The master was planning to run away again? Chapter 218, The Human Trafficker. Seeing Aaron rush into Nocturne Alley without specifically chasing Abe, but instead heading towards crowded places, Jin's wore a bitter expression. It was clear the young master was planning to escape again. However, after a brief moment of anxiety, excitement surged through him. As the saying goes, get up wherever you fall. Last year, Aaron successfully ran away, which was a significant failure for those in charge of his security. None of them believed they would get another chance to redeem themselves. The young master was smart and would surely anticipate that they would plug all the loopholes this year and in the future, leaving no room for another escape. But what was happening now proved their judgment wrong, and Jin's found this mistake to be wonderful. The opportunity to avenge their previous failure had come. Thinking of this, Jin's felt an urge to look up to the sky and laugh heartily, his fighting spirit rekindled. Without wasting any more time, he quickly chased after Aaron. Although only a dozen seconds had passed, Aaron, relying on his physical fitness far beyond that of ordinary people, had already put more than 30 meters between himself and Jin's. Turning around an alley, he noticed a dark shadow on the ground and soon encountered Abe. Son, are you lost? A 60 or 70-year-old witch smiled kindly. Come with us, we will take you home. 3 other shabbily dressed wizards in the alley also surrounded them. They smiled coldly, either looking at Aaron or Abe as if they were examining precious goods. Aaron raised his eyebrows. These were probably human traffickers or robbers in the wizarding world. He was just about to try to bring justice when he heard footsteps getting closer. He immediately pretended to be harmless and hugged Abe. "Okay," Aaron said politely. "Thank you, you are really kind people." The four dark wizards exchanged glances, feeling confident that their catch was secure. It was the first time they had seen such a fresh and handsome young wizard, and they were sure he would fetch a good price. But they hadn't taken many steps when a strange voice came from behind them. "Master, stop playing. You should come back with me." Jins looked smug. He hadn't expected it to be so easy this time. Although these wizards didn't look like good people, they had been very kind to him. If they hadn't blocked the way, he would have spent a few more minutes catching the young master. "Master?" The dark wizards looked at each other. It wasn't that they hadn't sold children with status before. In their line of work, apart from their own lives and profits, they didn't care about morals or laws. But now, the child's family member had caught up. Although Jins looked only in his 30s, his strength should be about the same as theirs. If they let him go, the aftermath could be very troublesome. Just as they were hesitating whether to give up, Aaron nervously hid behind the old witch, panic evident in his eyes. "I don't know you at all," Aaron pointed at Jins uneasily. "Grandma, uncles, he is a human trafficker." The corner of Jins's mouth twitched slightly. "This joke is not funny at all." "Humph. After I got lost with my mother in Diagon Alley, you followed me. When I saw someone, you claimed to be my housekeeper, then took me to this broken alley, saying that the boss would definitely like this product very much." The dark wizard's eyes lit up, and they looked at Jins with a bit of contempt. Colleagues. However, his acting skills were too superb, and he had almost fooled them. "Master," Jins gritted his teeth, suppressing his violent temper. "The game is over. I will get angry if you say that again. Hurry back with me." "This, friend," a bald wizard stood in front of Jins and said righteously, "although you came first, our rules don't pay attention to first come, first served. This child has nothing to do with you. Get out of here." Jins was at a loss for words. Suffering from such grievances, he subconsciously wanted to teach this bastard a lesson. However, this was Nocturne Alley, and he didn't want to make too much noise. "I don't want to do it, but that doesn't mean I can't," he said. "Who do you think you are? This is Nocturne Alley. Even if you die, someone may collect your body." The She-Ding wizard laughed wildly. "Hurry up, don't stop us from getting rich. If you don't die, you won't die." Aaron rolled his eyes in exasperation, then tugged on the sleeve of the old witch. "Can we go home now? I miss my parents." "Of course, child," the old witch comforted him, then gave Jins a provocative look and led Aaron towards the alley. Just as Jins was about to stop them, the She-Ding wizard stretched out his arm and sneered. "It seems that you really don't know what's good for you. If you don't want to die, get out of the way." "Heh!" The She-Ding wizard smiled contemptuously. "I block this guy, but I will expect an extra 10% afterwards." The old witch nodded, and the other two dark wizards also expressed no objection. Jins looked at the idiot standing in front of him, then at the young master who was facing away from him and raised his middle finger. He couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. In his opinion, Aaron's actions were meaningless, and he could handle these crooked melons in less than half a minute. Besides him, Number 1 and Number 2 also followed Aaron. Both of them were high-level magisters, and they would not show up until the critical moment. However, he, the housekeeper, could directly issue orders to them and bring the young master back at any time. "Forget it. Since the young master wants to play, let's just add time to this game. Why are you pretending when people are gone?" The She-Ding wizard pulled out an old magic wand with some annoyance and cast a curse with a sinister smile. The light blue light shot at Jins, but the expected scream did not appear. Just when he was puzzled, there was a sudden buzzing sound in his ears. He seemed to be in a 10th-level hurricane, and his body turned uncontrollably in midair. Although his head was very dizzy, the She-Ding wizard also realized Jin's terrifying strength, and his intestines were green with regret. He admired himself a little. Because of that 10% of galleons, he took the initiative to stop a great magician who was not in the same league as him at all. "Let me go, please. I don't dare anymore, please." He begged for mercy with difficulty, but his mouth was quickly sealed. "Woo," Jins glanced at him lightly. For the sake of my young master not being injured, I won't do anything to you, but you will spend the rest of your life in Azkaban." Hearing this, the she-ding wizard's eyes widened in shock, and tears and sweat poured out in fear. That's Azkaban. A dark wizard like him would die if he entered. Also, that kid just now was really the young master. What resentment and hatred. Even if you go to Nocturne Alley to experience the excitement, you won't be able to trap them like this. The old witch and the others also noticed the commotion, but didn't intend to help at all. On the one hand, they didn't know what happened in the battle, and their knowledge of jinns was not accurate. Otherwise, they should have run away without looking back. On the other hand, if one person was out, the three of them would get an extra share. "Come on, you two, kill him, or stop him for 2 minutes if it doesn't work," the old witch said lightly, then gave Aaron a gentle smile. "Let's go. I'll take you home." Aaron nodded cooperatively, silently praising the two black wizards blocking the way. They were all warriors who knew nothing about fear. "Can you be faster?" he asked. "Of course," the old witch replied, eager to kill Aaron as soon as possible. After all, she was safe, and there were too many uncertainties with him alive. The golden galleon was more attractive to her. However, as soon as they reached the end of the alley, a black figure landed in front of them. This was a dark wizard who was... The man in charge of blocking the way was now unconscious, with burn marks all over his body. The old witch's eyes widened in shock. She turned to look at her other companion, who was immobilized by jinns and twitching uncontrollably. Her legs grew weak, and she took a few steps back in panic. Who had they crossed paths with? Their strongest wizard was utterly powerless against this foe. "This child, we don't." Before she could finish her sentence, Aaron interjected decisively. "I won't give up. Grandma, let's run quickly. If we turn the corner, there will be a place with a lot of people. We can't waste the time the uncles fought for. If that bad guy catches me, he'll definitely beat me to death." Hearing this, the old witch seemed to snap out of her daze and instantly made up her mind. Run. Seeing the miserable state of her three partners, she knew the man was dangerous. If she handed over the child, she wouldn't fare well either. Why not take a gamble? "Follow me," the old witch said to Aaron, her voice no longer gentle, but full of urgency. Aaron nodded seriously. At the same time, a deep voice echoed in the air. "Act according to the original plan. Buy me a little time." Ab twitched his ears and jumped out of Aaron's arms. The old witch broke into a sprint with a speed that belied her age, compressing a 2-minute journey into a fraction of that time. After evading the last blocker, jinns rushed out of the alley, only to see a dense crowd of people. "Oh, looks like it's going to take a little longer," Jinns muttered, feeling a twinge of regret. Suddenly, he spotted a flash of white outside an alley and saw a pair of clear eyes that shrank back in panic upon noticing him. "Hey, this reconnaissance really failed. Young master, you were still too careless." Jinns laughed and immediately gave chase with confidence. Meanwhile, the old witch led Aaron to a small auction house where at least dozens of dark wizards had gathered. "Mr. Peel, this is a high-quality product," the old witch said, dropping her pretense and rubbing her hands together as she addressed a man in his 50s wearing a monocle. She seemed to feel safe here. "Name your price." Peel scrutinized Aaron carefully. Unlike the children he had seen before, Aaron wasn't nervous or frightened, nor was he crying. Instead, he was very calm, which piqued Peel's interest. 500 gold galleons. "What? Only 500? The old witch was dissatisfied with the price. "Look at his appearance. You should give me 1,000 galleons just for his face." "It's precisely because of his face that I'm offering you 500. Otherwise, 300 would be too much," Peel said impatiently, twirling his mustache. Aaron thought to himself, "What eyes? Is my face only worth 200 galleons? Chapter 219. But... The old witch hesitated, trying to raise the price. "We lost at least 2 people for this shipment. And what does that matter to me?" Pierre's face darkened immediately. "People like you still care about this? If you're not satisfied, go out and turn left. I have no shortage of children here." Hearing this, the old witch gritted her teeth. "Okay, 500 is 500. Pierre smiled contemptuously. "That's right." "Wait a minute." Aaron interrupted the transaction between the two. "I'm not very satisfied." You don't have a place to talk here, the old witch said fiercely. You don't really think I'm taking you home. You're so naive, my child. But you should thank me. I sent you here. At least you still have a chance to survive. You must know that there are shops in Nocturne Alley that specialize in collecting human organs. The fresher, the more valuable. Your eyes and skin are worth 100 galleons, plus your blood, organs, and bones. You could sell for 200 galleons. Pull it down. You wouldn't have brought me here if it was so profitable, Aaron said, plucking his ear. But I do have to thank you for helping me get rid of that guy. I haven't been to Nocturne Alley many times. I wanted to try my luck, but you just appeared in front of me and led me the way as quickly as possible. The old witch looked at him blankly, feeling inexplicably more apprehensive. This didn't look like a harmless child, but a wolf in sheep's clothing. Who the hell are you? That's not important. What matters is your future fate, Aaron said, raising his lips slightly. He then looked at the interested Pierre. May I ask, how much is this old woman worth? You. The old witch's eyes were tearing apart, and she pointed at Aaron tremblingly, wishing she could strangle him to death on the spot. She had been in this business for decades, and this was the first time she had encountered such an outrageous thing. The goods that were about to be sold dared to sell her as a human trafficker. What are you? Aaron said bluntly. It seems there is no rule that I cannot sell you. Boss, the quality of the goods this time is a bit poor. Just give it as you see fit. Pierre laughed loudly, and the laughter attracted dozens of dark wizards around him. Their eyes were cold, and their faces were full of curiosity and playfulness. Interesting, it's really interesting. Pierre praised Aaron without hesitation. As long as a person like you doesn't die, he will definitely be number one in the future. Thank you for the compliment. Many people think so. Pierre shook his head. Mokila is 70 years old this year, full of hidden wounds and diseases, and her strength is mediocre. No one wants to be a slave, and she's not worth much, at most 10 galleons. Pierre, the old witch roared angrily, are you going to break the rules? Of course not. Everyone knows my reputation. Otherwise, this auction house wouldn't have existed for so long. The current situation is that both of you may be sellers, and it is not easy for me to decide. Pierre sneered. You don't even have a uniform, so you have the nerve to come and find me. Mokila couldn't help but curse from the bottom of her heart. She gave Aaron a vicious look, wishing she had knocked the kid out before he knew he came. What's your name? Pierre asked. Severus, Aaron said without hesitation. Severus Snape. Severus, I give you two options. One is to accept fate honestly. If you're lucky, you can spend the rest of your life safely. I'll choose the second one, Aaron said immediately. The second is to have a fight with Mokila. Whoever wins decides the fate of the other person. Mokila showed a sneer. I am very happy. Aaron shrugged. I don't seem to have the right to choose. The wizards in the auction house were full of interest and consciously gave them an open space. Pierre immediately cleaned up his table, spread a layer of red blankets, and made a simple gambling table. Guys, if you want to bet, try to hurry up. You won't have a chance in a while. I bet on Mokila, 10 galleons. An old wizard with a gloomy face slapped a handful of gold coins on the table. This seemed to be a good start, as a group of wizards couldn't wait to pocket the galleons, sickles, and even nuts on the gambling table. Most of them bet on Mokila to win. Aaron only had 7 or 8 sickles and a few nuts, but no galleons. This was because his odds were high, and he wanted to try his luck. In the eyes of the wizards present, there was no suspense in this gamble. Although Mokila was old and not very strong, handling a child was not seen as a problem. It's really foolish, Aaron muttered, curling his lips. It's normal, Severus, Peel said. You have to fight for me. If you lose, you will not only lose the rest of your life, but also cause me to lose money. Aaron rolled his eyes, walked to the gaming table calmly, and took out a money bag from his pocket. I only brought 120 galleons, all for myself. 10 to 1. If you win, you will have 10 times the profit, which is not cheap at all. Mokila gritted her back molars, making a cluck sound, the anger in her eyes almost tangible. She regretted it. Before bringing Aaron over, she should have searched him besides knocking him out. More than 100 galleons were gone. Pierre froze for a moment, then clapped his hands. It's really interesting, but if I were you, I wouldn't pay so much. I don't have many good people here. Aaron glanced thoughtfully at the group of wizards whose eyes were shining with undisguised greed. I think I'm safe in the auction house, right? Not necessarily. Pierre poured cold water on him. You are just a child after all. Understood. Not only was Aaron not afraid, but he smiled happily. He pulled out his wand and walked across to the old witch Mokila. The seller is always selling, although you can't even compare to a fraction of me. But no matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat, isn't it? Go to hell, Mokila snarled, waving her wand. A light blue light shot at Aaron. When Aaron saw this, a look of contempt flashed in his eyes. He originally thought that the old witch was a magister after all, and it would take some time to deal with her, but now it seemed that she was only a junior magister, and her combat experience was not extraordinary. But think about it. If she had the strength, she wouldn't be in such a bad situation. Aaron cast an iron armor curse on himself and faced the attack calmly. Boom! The scion light and the transparent barrier collided and canceled each other out. This? Impossible. Mokila couldn't believe it. In her vision, she should have ended the battle with one move, or at the very least, seriously injured the child. There should never have been a situation of equal strength. The other wizards also looked at Aaron in astonishment, and Peel's pupils dilated slightly. The talent of Severus Snape was higher than he had thought. Old witch, seeing is believing, Aaron said meaningfully, then tapped his chest lightly with his wand, and his whole body became transparent. Phantom spell, Mokila muttered, her face ugly as she cautiously watched her surroundings. But the next moment, a ball of white light shot out from behind her, sending her flying several meters before she fell to the ground. Aaron lifted his invisibility, walked up to her quickly, and tried a spell he had learned recently. Crucio. Ah! The shrill screams echoed in the auction house, and the scalps of dozens of dark wizards around tingled. They naturally understood the unforgivable curse, but it was unexpected that a child could use this kind of spell. More importantly, he behaved very naturally, without any discomfort. A ruthless character. This was definitely a ruthless character. Many people put away their little thoughts. They had originally thought that the mantis would catch the cicada, and the oriole would be behind, but now it seemed that the oriole was not so easy to deal with. How dare you betray me? You're blind. Aaron kicked her twice fiercely. Every time Mokila tried to swing her wand, she hit the ground instead. Aaron didn't stop casting spells until he could see obvious bloodstains on the ground. Severus, you bloody bastard! Mochira gritted her teeth, red blood oozing from her yellowed teeth. Still not convinced? Aaron sneered, flicking his wand lightly to send her wand flying. He then aimed at her body and cast another Cruciatus curse. Ah! The old witch soon rolled her eyes and passed out. It's a pity. I thought she could hold on a bit longer. Aaron shook his head regretfully. He then used transfiguration to create a rope, tying her up tightly and securing the knot with a professional touch. The skillful technique made the onlookers question their reality. Was this really a child? You won, Peel said, taking out 10 galleons from his pocket. This is her value. Anything else? Pierre sighed, handing over the money for betting on Aaron to win to 2 wizards. He then took out a money bag from a drawer and placed all the gambling money on the table into it. This should be enough. Boy, hand over the money. A one-eyed wizard stood up, looking greedily at the cloth bag in Aaron's hand. Hey, there are always people who want money without considering the consequences, Aaron said with a hint of emotion. It's not that I underestimate you, but are you sure you can beat me? Not sure, but... Before the one-eyed wizard could finish, several other wizards stood up. Seeing this, more joined in, and for a moment the dark wizards were unusually united. Ha! Aaron said calmly. No one can steal my money. We have a lot of people. The one-eyed wizard laughed wildly. Do you want to fight all of us? No, I'm not that stupid. Aaron placed the cloth bag neatly on the table. But, I swear on the honor of the Snape family, whoever strikes first, I will fight to the death. I don't need the money, but even if I die, I will take the first one to see Merlin. Would you like to try it? The corner of the one-eyed wizard's mouth twitched slightly, and he couldn't help but swallow. The others also looked at each other in confusion, no longer as aggressive. They didn't know if Severus would do what he said, but it was undeniable that he had the ability to kill one enemy and severely injure himself in the process. They were numerous, but they knew each other well. Everyone wanted the money, but no one wanted to be the first to act. They weren't worried about targeted revenge from Severus. How much threat could a teenage boy pose? But they were concerned about being picked off by other dark wizards. Besides, even if someone was foolish enough to go first, how much would the remaining dozens get from the bag? It wasn't worth the risk for such a small amount of money. Cut! Aaron glanced around with contemptuous eyes. If you don't have the courage, don't try to rob like others. Chapter 220, Rational Use of Resources. You're so stupid. Pierre looked at the crowd with disappointment. Although you are not famous, you have been around for such a long time, and there is even a magister among you, yet you are being manipulated by a child. You should feel ashamed. Stop making sarcastic remarks, the one-eyed wizard said faintly. Do what you want. Me? Pierre glanced at Aaron, smiled, and waved his hands dismissively. I actually admire Severus quite a bit, so I won't bully the younger. However, to add some fun to this boring life, I have a small suggestion. To get this sum of galleons safely, everyone should raise their wands and listen to me. When I shout 3, 2, 1, we all cast our spells together. Even if he wants to retaliate, he won't be able to. Aaron thought to himself, is this what you call appreciation? Didn't I just win you some money? Why be so stingy? The black wizards exchanged glances, but soon smug smiles appeared on their faces. This idea seemed fair to them. They wouldn't be in any danger, and by casting a spell casually, they could share a lot of galleons equally. Although it might not be much individually, it would be enough to live comfortably for a few days. 3. Pierre gave Aaron a playful look. 2. Wait a minute, Aaron interrupted, showing a flattering smile. We're all out here for money. There's no need to be so tense. Severus, you're still too young, Pierre said meaningfully. I've seen many talented and intelligent wizards, but many of them are dead. I do appreciate you, so I won't act myself, but that doesn't mean I can forgive you for causing trouble in my place. After this round, your life or death depends on your luck. Aaron's mouth twitched. He wondered if he should take his thought body back and kill this guy. What are you being so arrogant about? Wouldn't it be easier to bully me? Aren't you worried that I will target you? Aaron asked. You can try, Pierre said casually, stretching his arms. The reason I can secure the boss's seat is not just my reputation, but also because I am a high-level magister. Don't take yourself too seriously. Good talent is your capital, but in the eyes of people like us, it is the least valuable. A high-level magister? Aaron murmured softly, a gleam flashing in his eyes. Any questions? My guests should wait, Pierre said. Wait a minute, Aaron said, reaching into his pocket and taking off the ring on his hand. He deliberately waited for a moment before taking it out. I want to make a deal with you. This ring is my bargaining chip. Huh? Pierre raised his eyebrows. Should I stop counting and let you go? More than that, I want you to do me a small favor, Aaron said with a meaningful smile. Don't rush to refuse. This ring is worth the price. Pierre pondered for a moment, then took the ring from Aaron. After examining it, he was shocked and stood up from his chair. Where did you steal this from? Pierre asked. My ancestors handed it down. It should be very valuable, Aaron replied. Not only is it valuable, this magic ring is an item of a few magic nobles from the Middle Ages. It can be effective even under a holy magister. This is a treasure with a price but no market. If put up for auction, it could be worth 5 figures at least, and possibly 6, Pierre said, calming down quickly. He looked at Aaron meaningfully. Severus, I admit this is a treasure I cannot refuse. Aren't you worried that I will kill you? You said your credibility has always been good, and... Aaron paused slightly. To be honest, you can't kill me, and I'm good at escaping. Pierre glanced at the unconscious Mokira, struggled for a moment, and finally decided not to gamble. If he killed for money, he could get a priceless treasure, but if he failed, he might spend the rest of his life in fear. His life had reached its peak, with no chance of further breakthroughs, while Severus was very talented. It was only a matter of time before he surpassed him. Before he surpasses him, he didn't want to take the risk of a great magician seeking revenge. With so many people watching, He couldn't do anything if he wanted to preserve the reputation of the auction house. Not only could he not act, but he also had to protect the client. Otherwise, he would be suspected of using a proxy to kill. Thinking of this, Pierre forced a smile. Severus, I underestimated you. No choice. It's all for my life. At least I won't be in danger now, Aaron said, spreading his hands. You're not at a loss. You get a priceless magic item. All right then, let's follow the rules. What do you want me to do for you? Pierre asked. Aaron smiled inscrutably. Help me stop someone. What kind of person? Pierre inquired. You'll find out soon. But in advance, if you can't stop him, you have to return this ring to me, Aaron said as he took a piece of parchment from the table. He quickly drafted a contract, wrote Severus Snape's name on it, and then pushed the parchment in front of Pierre. Pierre hesitated for a moment, but eventually signed his name. Is this person very strong? Pierre asked. He's better than me, but about the same as you, Aaron said seriously, though he was lying. This man is in his 30s, and his mind is a bit abnormal. Just think of him as out of his mind. Can you explain it a little more clearly? Pierre asked, still confused. What's the point of inquiring so clearly? Would I cheat you? So many people are watching. If you want this ring, then do it for me, Aaron insisted. Pierre glanced at the quaint ring in his hand and nodded silently. Very good, Aaron said, turning to look at the group of wizards. A pure smile spread across his face, but the wizards sneered, rolled their eyes, turned their faces away, or even spat in disdain. Everyone, Aaron called out, pouring a bag of coins onto the table. The clinking sound of more than 1,000 gold galleons, hundreds of silver sickles, and scattered copper nuts caught their attention. It's still the same deal. You come out to make money, Aaron said, patting the pile of coins. Just do me a small favor and the money will be yours. What do you want us to do? A witch asked, standing up. Her hair was disheveled and her lips were dark purple. It's very simple. Stop someone for me, Aaron replied. Humph! The one-eyed wizard sneered. You gave Mr. Pierre a precious magic item. To us, it's only 20 or 30 galleons. You're too contemptuous. That's not what you said, Aaron shook his head. There is always a big difference in the remuneration of the protagonist and the extras, isn't there? Of course, you can also refuse. The fewer people who share, the more money you get. But let me remind you, except for the 2 discerning wizards who sold me to win, the rest are all at a loss. Now, there is an opportunity to recover the principal and interest. If you just watch the opportunity slip away, can you think highly of yourself? Don't use this kind of aggressive method to embarrass yourself, a wizard wrapped in a black robe said. We like the money, to be honest, but we don't want to be hungry. The pay and income are completely out of proportion. We will not help you. Aaron sighed internally. If he hadn't seen the undisguised greed in their eyes, he might have believed their nonsense. Of course, what this senior said is very reasonable. Aaron nodded in agreement. Each person can only get 20 to 30 galleons, which indeed does not match your worth. This point is indeed my negligence, which has wronged the seniors. After his words, the complexions of the black wizards improved a lot. Although they knew Severus was talking nonsense, he was polite and spoke beautifully, raising their social status and giving them enough face. Do you mean, add money? The one-eyed wizard asked, a hint of excitement in his voice. Of course not. This is all I have, Aaron replied frankly. I understand that Mr. Peel might make you uncomfortable, but let me be fair. First, Mr. Peel is a high-level magister, and not many can match his strength. Secondly, I don't expect everyone to go all out. Just cast 1 or 2 spells. It's not a loss to exchange a few spells for a 2-digit number of galleons. Everyone exchanged uncertain glances. Although something felt off, Aaron's logic was sound. With Peel, a high-ranking magister, drawing the enemy's attention, they could earn over 20 galleons by casting just a couple of spells, all without much risk. It was a profitable deal. This is my first time in Nocturne Alley, so I might not understand all the rules and may have offended you, Aaron continued, coughing slightly. There are nearly 100 galleons here. Those who are willing to help me can come forward and collect the money you lost earlier. Let's forget the past. And those who are willing to support me, a junior, can come and share the rest of the money equally. After Aaron finished speaking, all the wizards present chose to stay and help. They stepped forward one by one to share the money. Although Severus had a somewhat difficult personality, his attitude was respectful, and he had provided the money as promised. Doing him this small favor seemed reasonable. As Aaron watched the coins dwindle, his smile grew brighter. Problems that could be solved with money were not real problems. These dark wizards seemed cooperative, but he knew they were inherently untrustworthy. However, he didn't mind. Even though their strength wasn't impressive, having more people on his side meant more power. Even a second's delay could be beneficial. "All right, you've achieved your goal. Now, tell us who we need to hold back," Peel said, somewhat exasperated. He couldn't help but admire Severus, a 10-year-old wizard who, with just his words and a little over 100 galleons, had managed to rally a group of dark wizards, including himself. Not everyone could pull off such a feat. Even stronger wizards wouldn't dare to flaunt that much gold in Nocturne Alley without risking their lives.